What's up, everybody? Tonight here for episode of Death Metal Podcast, and this is an episode about Noxious Ruin, label and magazine, and whatever other killings they do out there. What's going on, my friend from Fondo Corpse and Evan Williams, and all the Death Metal Podcast alumni, freaks, and creeps? So tonight, we're gonna take a dive into the world of Noxious Ruin and basically what their releases a bit, their magazines. Talk about some of the bands that are on the record label. Talk about some of the releases, about how they came about. I'd like to talk about the art stuff in the magazines because they have a phenomenal art in their mags, full color and glossy pages. A decent price with a compilation tape as well. So like you almost get like a soundtrack to like what you're about to experience. So we're gonna have both guys from Noxious Ruin are gonna be here. So basically the premise of trying to do death metal podcasts, obviously this is a learning show, so obviously sometimes, what's up, guys? I like to take questions at some points, too. At some point, I'll take bigger amounts of them. So, Noxious Ruin, possibly the strongest zine going. Awesome, dude. Definitely, dude. What's up, Stefan Goldberg and Kyle P., you maniacs? I'm here with my Ripping Corpse shirt on, unprepared, and I'm prepared. So last night we did an additional death metal podcast too. If anyone is interested, we played some new stuff. And as you can see by the last few weeks on Saturdays, I'm trying to focus on interviewing bands or people, or, I feel that the talk on here is more important than the music sometimes, because the things that you learn from the show or what you take home later or look up on Discogs or whatever, or look around. So we had an interview with Drew Elliott, the artist, last week. If you did not check this out, make sure you check this out. If you want to talk about old school and old drawings, old demo, like necrophagia. I mean, some of the revelations about necrophagia were there. Revelations about working for Metal Blade, working for New Renaissance Records. Doing amazing stuff, basically. So, I mean, and also some questions I had asked on there purposely were like, had to do with like, say, how did an artist send their stuff before the internet? Because you would wonder, did you have to pick up an original painting and put it in a goddamn mailer, send it to a record label, and say, do you like it? And then what do they do? Send it back to you? But apparently it had to do with like photography, and then he would get some kind of photographs, which were super expensive for that point in time. So it was a really good episode, putting a face and a voice to the artwork of the album is killer. Exactly. That's how I felt too. Cheers to Mexico, bro. Disgorge. Hell yeah. What's going on, my man? So everybody checking in here. What's up, TJ Monday, Tony, Joker NYC, Kyle P, Bathmetic, Fanny Packer. Thank you for the good words on the show, man. So yeah, it was an awesome show. What's up, Tabba Joe? Hope you're having a good day. The conversation is what you came here for. That's kind of why we're trying to do this. Amazing left-hand path flag in your store. Dead heavy. I remember that ad in the magazines. Yeah, and there it is too, in all its glory. Yeah, back in the day, you made slides. Interesting stuff, man. I mean, it was kind of cool to learn just about things like that. So in the back room right now with Eddie Van Halen, we got we got West here, part of Noxious Ruin. What's up, West? How's it going, brother?
Going good, Roy. How are you, man?
I'm very good, my brother. I'm happy
Oh yeah.
to do this because I feel that the label puts out diverse stuff, but then if the label puts out diverse stuff that's all heavy and death metal, grindcore, like heavy shit, for me, usually that's very surprising because I get hit off guard a little bit by Noxious Ruin because the release bands are ones I never heard of. So like that's cool to me and that's special and that's why I'm a fan of the label. So I mean moving into working with Brian, I mean, where how was it for you too? Were you in the same kind of scenario as me?
Yeah, so I guess when Brian and I started working together, he released a demo from one of my bands probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago at this point. We were one of the first probably 5 releases or so. I think we're at like coming
Oh
up on
wow.
like 52 or 53 releases now with some of these newer ones. So yeah, he and I had a relationship there, and then right after that, he released the first magazine. Of course, I was on board with it because who wouldn't be? And then about a year or two later, I started doing Preservation of Death and sort of came to him with it. I was like, hey, I got this zine, but you know, do you want to help me with it? And he was gracious enough on that first issue to help me sort of print it. I had
Nice.
written
Okay.
and compiled that whole thing, and then after everything after the second issue has been a collaborative effort on that, and we did a couple of issues of
Cool.
that, and the label started to get to be a little more than he could handle, I think. And since we were already working together on the zines, he sort of knew that we had similar work ethic and that he could
He could
count
trust
on
in
me.
you to be,
I guess,
yeah.
yeah,
And you're gonna get ahead further with two people over one.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
So
So that was
that's
sort of how we ended up joining
this would
forces,
be
I
the
guess.
mag, the Preservation of Death,
Yeah, absolutely,
including
absolutely. That's
Volume
the
One
one.
there.
Yeah, yep,
So you guys like everything aesthetically is exciting about Noxious Ruin. That's something too. Like there's a lot of aesthetics that go with death metal and dark stuff. So
yeah. I mean, that's definitely important to us. I mean, the music obviously it's got to it's got to kick ass, or we don't fuck with it. But it's got to look cool too. That's a big deal to us.
yeah. And that's a big deal to me too, as like in the user end or buyer or fan zone. Because even
Yeah,
though I
absolutely.
am in doing a record label and doing this live cast and all this stuff, like I am still a fan to the core. So like I don't differentiate much of it too much. I just to me, when I look at say Noxious Ruin and then I see like these full color magazines with like glossy pages, and I'm just like, you know what? I know there was a there was a lot put into this, dude. Like this is not your normal. This is not your normal. It's not even. It goes beyond not even being a normal magazine. Like say like a Decibel magazine or something. It's like there is like really a lot of intense artwork in those zines mixed with the
For sure. I
stories.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, a lot of the contributions, from the artists that we choose to associate ourselves with and that contribute, you know, pieces to our magazine are a huge part of that. So fucking huge ups to all of them because obviously a lot of their talents are lent to this. But Brian and I are real big on making the articles and stuff really pop and making some of those things look like a magazine that we would want to read.
That's what's
Not
up.
that that's just as important as the content in there. If it's if it looks good and it reads good and there's some sick art in it, then
Yeah,
what else
and I
can you
mean it
ask
comes with
for?
a lot of sick art. So I mean, if you, I was thinking like sometimes when I see some stuff like Noxious Ruin Mag, I think from a terms of like a 16 to 18 year old when you find it kind of first starting to get into the scene a little bit, and then you kind of really are hitting the stuff a little deeper. You're looking over all those pages a lot harder than I would. You're really
Yeah,
digging in.
absolutely. I mean, I think both Brian and I, that was a huge part of our journey into this shit, being, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, reading hardcore zines and metal zines and shit like that. I mean, at that point, the internet wasn't as prevalent. So we relied a lot more on zines than the internet. I know that's sort of the, not necessarily
you want
the
to
norm
name
now,
any names, West?
as far as zines,
yeah, stuff that you liked, just out of curiosity. What
man,
what were some kind of eye openers for you, even band wise?
Yeah, so like band wise, I mean, I guess getting into, I guess I came into it through like punk and shit, a lot of like D beat stuff, disc bands. I played in several crusty, real big into like Japanese hardcore and
Okay.
the English shit. And obviously, once you start to sort of research some of that lineage, I think the obvious next path, you start to see where bands like Nihilist and Carnage and all of those bands came from.
Definitely.
They were all real big into that D beat shit. Your Mob 47s and your Discharge and things like that. So that for me was sort of how I ended up
Let me
and
ask you a
arrived
question that
at
I've
death
never
metal.
asked somebody. Yeah, let me ask you a question that I never really asked anybody. From like a punk hardcore like stance as a fan, are the fans of the punk hardcore stuff as passionate as like the metal fans, or because like they'll say they got a Discharge patch on their jacket, but like how deep are they gonna, you know what I mean? Can they really talk the talk? Just out of curiosity, just
Yeah, I
from what
mean,
you saw from when you were
yeah,
thinking
I
back
mean,
then.
there's a lot that can. I mean, I think that's where that love for international shit really kind of came from and really got, you know, yeah. Long
They
story
got a lot.
short,
Yeah,
yeah. I
I
mean,
got you.
it
You
it
think some of that
definitely
stuff
is.
got traction because of the fans?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, it's one of those things where, I feel like a lot of, I don't know, maybe younger kids nowadays are getting into this shit through maybe like Slipknot or Lamb of God or like some of your gateway bands, Gate
Sure.
Creeper, which is awesome. But everybody sort of has their
They
path
got to get
into
into
it,
it
and
somewhere,
yeah,
in a way.
for sure.
Even if it was Gate
But
Creeper.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's I don't shit on any of that stuff. It's I'm not gonna throw on a Lamb of God record or anything like that, but I know that gets a lot of kids into this stuff and sort of you got to start somewhere, and then if you're really into it and you're probably gonna end up a lifer, you really start looking. Going down the rabbit hole, looking at maybe the shirts they've got on and some of their promo
Yeah.
pictures or in a live video or maybe the shit that they cover, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
so yeah, I mean, and it's the same with punk as it is with anything else. I mean, like I said, especially if you were into that kind of stuff, I mean, that stuff is sort of I feel like the direct descendant to like that early Swedish, Finnish death metal type shit.
Cool.
For sure.
Yeah, I know. You know what? I don't hang with many people that are in the D beat scene, basically. So I was always curious, like, what the, like I had my GNX 7-inch, and I had my hiatus,
Yeah.
and I had some rare weird stuff. You know what I mean? I would, obviously Discharge. You know what I mean? So like, Jism and Drop Dead. So yeah, I mean we would.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean SOB. So I was into certain
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I just wasn't into that scene too much. So you want to
Hey,
turn your
there's the
camera the other
man.
way, Brian?
What?
Can you turn your camera the other way and see if it gets you
Hang
a
on.
landscape?
Hang on, I got turned up. I'm half-assed and everything here.
There you go. Perfect, brother. Oh, half-ass is the name of the show here, man. This is called Death Metal Podcast for everybody tonight, and we got Noxious Ruin in the house, both guys, to talk about the
Whoa.
label. Whoa, both guys at one place.
That's rare.
So tonight, this like if this is unplanned. Like every show I do is unplanned, guys. I mean, I don't know if you're a first time watcher, basically.
No.
We just play it by the fucking.
I've been on your show before, Roy. Come on.
Yeah, not you. I'm talking about the people that are watching. I mean, some of these people pretty much watch like all the time, dude. Like this guy.
All right.
Everybody, man. What's
Well,
up, Ian? How's it going, man? Gate Creeper.
What's up, y'all?
So this guy, Thunder Truckin' Willie, who I see is a recent devotee here, metal and hardcore DB diehards are very much cut from the same cloth as metalheads. Okay, cool, man. I mean, I just don't, I don't know the landscape well, you know? Even more handsome in the landscape. There he goes. Yeah, it does look better when it, like, everyone's like bigger, you know?
Are you speaking of my handsomeness, Roy,
yes.
or this other guy over here?
All right, guys. So, you know, I mean, Brian, obviously you are the genesis of Noxious Ruin, you know?
Yep.
So, I mean, how long, you know, like, you seem like when I first seen the label pop out, I thought it was run by a younger dude. And then when you hopped on my live stream for the record label thing, I was like, oh shit, this guy's like more like my age. Damn, cool.
I'm probably older than you, Roy.
That's cool though. But I thought it was cool. Like, I was like, oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Like, it changed it for me. Like, I like more experienced people. I think I like people that I think are going to be around longer. I don't know if that makes any sense to you.
Yeah.
So,
or going to retire, one of the two.
Exactly. You know, I mean, in metal and in this like metal scene, like there's been like so many fucking iterations of it of people that like basically they come and go like after 5 years.
Yeah,
so.
Dude. I mean, I started going to shows in 1980, so I know. Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's everything like this. Every kind of music I listen to is like that, so it's not exclusive to metal or death metal or anything like that. New waves, man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, you're right. It's just the wave, dude. The wave of what's happening.
Yep.
Brian is not going to be around much longer.
No, probably.
All right, so thank you for tuning in, guys, to Jesse Romanus. And I can't read the name there. Poo, hip hop, poo.
Oh, that's my mom.
Okay.
Hey, Mom.
Capture the beautiful beard, they said.
Poo. Trying to talk. Hold on.
Yeah. All right. So this is you know, like, let's go into your history now, brother. I mean, 1980. I mean, what was like the Brian growing up seeing, you know?
I was kind of a latchkey kid. My mom was a dope smoking hippie. I grew up around music and sort of gypsy-ish lifestyle. I loved music from the minute I heard it. When I was, you know, my mom's got pictures of me at 4 years old in the bathtub with headphones on and a Hot Wheels track as a guitar, probably listening to fucking Rod Stewart or some bullshit like that. So yeah, I've always been a music fan.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a similar background too, because I'm latchkey kid also, and then you know, same deal, man. My father, my who left us, fucking, he played like Black Sabbath on an 8-track in the van, dude. After that, man, my head was blown off.
Yeah, I mean, my mom was a stoner, so she listened to all that stuff, like a lot of like hard rock, 70s hard rock kind of stuff. You know, she wasn't really into like pop music at all. I mean, at one point when I was like, I think I was like 4 or 5 years old, we lived in a duplex, and downstairs, Chris Campbell, the bass player for Bob Seger, lived. So, you know, my mom was kind of in a circle of people that were, I don't know, maybe more tuned in. I mean, I tell people that was my first concert, was I got to see Bob Seger on some lawn somewhere at Pine Knob, this theater that's like an outdoor amphitheater kind of thing in Michigan. And I was like probably like 4 or 5, 6. You know, my mom used to take me to concerts like that. So
cool, man.
Yeah. So, but mostly my, I think my what kind of drove me along was that, you know, I kind of inherited all my mom's music, which is all that 70s stuff like Sabbath and Zeppelin and all, you know, all the real typical stuff. And I loved all that stuff, but I had such a lust for music that I had to kind of keep evolving and finding like the newer, cooler stuff, you know? So it's like, I really like Sabbath. I want to find another band that's really heavy like that. And that's where you start progressing. And I got into like, you know, hard rock, metal kind of stuff, and punk right around the same time, probably around 1979 or 80. You know, I always loved the harder stuff. And I mean, punk is really what informed me. Punk and hardcore has really informed me because it was more so that you know, it's different than going to the record store and buying a record and going, oh, I really like the Sabbath record. You kind of get more involved with it. It's a lot more underground. You don't just go to the record store and like buy those records all the time unless you find specialty stores.
Yeah, like you don't just go to the record store when you're like an undergrounder. Like you go to like the record store's door and you like look on there for fucking flyers and like
You know, I learned really early on like tape trading and like, I mean, that's some of the first things I did. I mean, I worked at a record store when I was like 15 years old, and we had a guy that used to come in there. We called him Button Bob, and he had a little Chevette, and out of the back of it, it was a little hatchback, and out of the back, he had all kinds of buttons, you know, badges, and like import records. And at first, it was all like prog rock, like Genesis and Yes and stuff, like, you know, live from Sweden and just these bootlegs. And then he started getting a bunch of metal stuff in. And at one point, when I was probably 14 years old, he was like, "Oh, I get all these like magazines for free you might be interested in." And I was like, "Oh yeah, let me check them out." And he's like, "You can just have them." And it was like Kerrang, Sounds, like all the real early English ones. Some like little bit like Metal Mania, which was the one from the West Coast that was all like the Metallica Friends guys. Some other stuff like that. So that's how I kind of went along with metal as I started learning more about it. But the same with punk, it was like fanzines like Maximum Rock and Roll and Flipside and things like that kind of informed, you know, anything. So I was always looking for the next thing or the next heavier, faster, whatever. And so
and it was the words. It was the words in those bags.
Was very like the same for me. I wasn't like punk forever and then went, oh, I really like metal when I was 23. I liked it all. You know, so I just liked anything that was aggressive and fast and, you know, kind of angry and whatever else. So
it's weird you talked about Kerrang and Metal Forces and Sounds and stuff because it's like it was the words in those magazines, even Maximum Rock and Roll. It was the words we read in those things that made the allure of what bands, like, what is that fucking band, right?
Well, like I said before, you know, like that's why I always say, kind of jumping ahead, but that's why I don't do reviews in our magazine, like reviews that used to be in magazines in the past, because back then it was really useful because you didn't know what any of that stuff was. You had to read a review just to get an idea of like, oh, here's this new band or whatever. But now everything's so available everywhere. You can listen to every second of every band on the internet somewhere. So there's really no reason to do that anymore. I mean, I always thought, you know, reviewer, critic people were kind of jackasses anyway. But it's good. It just served a purpose back then. You know, that's how we learned about everything. So when you did go to the record store, you'd say, oh, I heard about this record, you know, like that's kind of how it happened. Or you mail stuff.
So it was the back of a trunk as usual, it seems.
Yeah. So, I mean, I started early on tape trading and mail order, both hardcore, punk and hardcore and metal. You know, because once I learned how to do it through punk, I was like, oh, you can do this through metal too, and trade lists with people and get tapes from people. And so, I started doing that really early 80s, you know, or 82, probably 81, 82.
Nice. Damn, that's a long time ago.
Yep.
So back then, I mean, what kind of equipment, like, were you working, you obviously, like, you were working with minimalistic equipments too, obviously, like tape decks and things. Like, I remember when we used to have to hold a radio to another radio to get a recording.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, I had an 8-track player for a real long time, not necessarily getting into metal or punk, but I had a hand-me-down one. And when I worked at this record store, it was just like this little town record store. And it was cool. The lady that owned it was real cool and gave me a job because I hung around there so much. She was basically like, hey, you want to just work here? So, but people would bring in, there was like very end of 8-track tapes. And people would bring them in and be like, oh, my car ate my tape. Is there any way to... And so I was like, man, I can fix those things. It's so easy. You take the screws out, you rewind it and whatever. So I used to charge people $4 to fix their, and it was funny. I thought $4 was a lot because, you know, you could get a brand new 8-track for like $8, you know?
Right.
So, I made a little side hustle on that working at the record store. Which
you just went in there, took it apart and like put like tape and just taped
the
like pieces together?
It wasn't too bad. Sometimes I'd have to unroll the whole thing because, you know, it feeds from two different ways, you know? So it's kind of an odd thing, but not to get technical.
What about the cassette player zone? Like, and because remember, like, there was that one stage with early record stores where like cassettes were like the poppin' ass shit.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I always had a cassette player probably. I mean, I probably first and foremost had a turntable, but I think I always had a cassette deck, because it just was something that you either had like a little boombox kind of like simple radio. Like my mom, I think, had got me like this clock radio, one speaker, like cassette deck thing for my my dresser. Like it was like, here's your alarm clock and the cassette deck and the it had a radio and the whole thing in it. So
Sure.
So when I started getting cassettes, whether it was through trading or like buying them at the store, I had something to play them on. I wasn't like unfamiliar, like, what do you do with this thing, So
cool, man. Yeah, I mean, we have very asimilar stories, man.
Oh yeah,
I was
sure.
also a little gypsy too, so.
Wow.
I mean, when you're like a latchkey kind of living with your mom situation, like you do end up in a gypsy-ish lifestyle,
Oh yeah. Well, and my mom, wasn't around a ton. My mom had addiction problems and stuff like that. So it's like, not to delve too deep into my past, but it's just like I was left alone. I was left alone a lot to my own devices. So I had to learn really early how to survive and, kind of like make my own way, and like think my own way and not be like, Mom, can you come wipe my butt for me? I mean, I was pretty streetwise already by the time I was like 12 because I ran the streets. I always tell people I was kind of a delinquent, because I didn't really have supervision. So I was able to just fucking go,
And when you just went, like, let me just ask, because I, like, again, we have a lot. I was the same fucking delinquent out there at everyone's house, rooftops, like anywhere you could be doing something illegal, on the bicycle, etc.
Yeah.
So is that where you first found your addiction towards like record stores and stuff? Because that's when I found mine, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I always loved music, but it wasn't so much. I mean, up to a certain point, it was just I kind of inherited my mom's record collection, which I would say collection, but she had a good amount of like records and Sabbath and all that stuff. So that was pretty satisfying for a while. I'm like, oh yeah, like now I can jam mom's, Bloody Sabbath record and fucking, like on my own. But my mom was like, oh, you can just have those records. And then it just became a hunger of like finding more. I'm like, well, if this stuff's cool, there's got to be more cool stuff out there. And that's how I kind of started discovering stuff. But it really, like, collecting records or even buying records really wasn't a thing. I mean, I think the first actual record that I bought was a Styx record. With my own money. I was like 13, I had a paper route, maybe 12 or 13, and I was like, that's a cool song. And I like went and bought a Styx record. And it was at the record store in my little town that I ended up working at. So, it's cool. Kind of like followed through.
It all followed, it just goes in a circle, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of cool? I remember 45s were the thing when I was young. Like, you wouldn't buy a record, you'd buy a fucking 45.
Yeah, well, and that was a big punk thing too. Like 45s were a big punk thing. I mean, before there was way more 45s than there was actually bands putting out LPs real early on, especially stuff that was new and kind of underground. That's where you discover that stuff. And I mean, we were lucky enough because where I grew up, we were a half an hour, 20 minutes away from Ann Arbor, which is like a big college town. And has like an really old stoner community and a really old like record music community. So they had a bunch of good record stores there, and they would just order everything. So you'd go in there and look in the import section and be like, I don't know what half this shit is, but it looks cool, man. I'm gonna like. We'd go out to Ann Arbor. Me and my buddy who was a little older than me would go out to Ann Arbor on Saturdays and we'd record shop for like, 3 or 4 hours and just buy like until our money was fucking gone. And some stuff we knew, some stuff it was like, man, this looks fucking cool. You'd look at the label and you'd like see the bands they thanked or what t-shirts they had on, and you're like, oh shit.
Well, it's all about that, man, know?
I love it, I also not to keep talking, but I also learned a lot.
You're good.
I also learned a lot because I was a skateboarder and I subscribed to Skateboard Magazine. So like first it was Skateboarder and then it turned into Action Now. And then the kind of Thrasher started. And so there was always music and that stuff too. There was always features on music. And I mean, like, like Pusshead wrote for Thrasher for years. Half the shit that I liked from when I was a kid, I found out through Pusshead from Thrasher Magazine,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
It all goes back, and it's cool that his art got out there and became like a staple.
Yeah.
Because I remember years ago, like seeing the Misfits shirts. And I'm like, all right, now I need to hear the fucking Misfits, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also feeling like, who the fuck is this? Cause
his art thing for me is a little bit more questionable. not that I didn't think he was a good artist, but I think he did a lot of the exact same shit over and over again with like a different skull or a different face. And it got really old really quick. But the bigger problem I had was that he kind of went on to be this sort of like art impresario. You know, now I think he sells like limited edition shoes in Japan that are like $1,000, you know, it's like his name and all that stuff. So I'm not even like
can't get hurt.
Yeah, I'm not like a demeanor of success, like, oh, the guy's successful. I mean, it's I don't know.
He worked off the same 10 pictures. I get it.
Right. And the fact that I just sometimes I don't, you know, when people are amazed by things and just gush about them, I'm like, it really wasn't that good. Like, have you seen this guy's art or this other thing? Or, you know, like, I don't know. People just get too wrapped up in stuff sometimes. And that was I always think Pushead had way more hype than he had talent. So
let me ask you, Brian, because the art in your magazine, before we talk about it, were comic books a big thing for you too?
Not really.
No,
not really. The only comic books I ever really read, I never was into typical superhero comic book kind of shit. The only ones that I ever really read on the regular were like Sergeant Rock, which was like, you know, the army comics. And then I would get like Mad Magazine and cartoons, National Lampoon. I had a subscription to when I was pretty young. So those were the kind of things like that. But I never really got into comic books that much. It's still, I mean, to this day, I have a pile of comic books. It's not really my thing. So it wasn't.
What do you feel brought you into the magazine zone then? Just out of curiosity. Other magazines?
I don't know. I've always been a super,
because you have art in your magazines as well as, you know, which, so mixing in with your stories. I mean, your official magazine, Noxious Ruin, it's filled with fucking art, dude, and like
it's on purpose. I mean, you know, it's supposed to be that way. It's the thing is that you know, I've always been an art lover, so I think that like what excited me about comics, or like not comics, but like, you know, Mad Magazine and all that stuff like that, is it had a good amount of art in it, you know, whether it was comic-y drawing kind of stuff. So I always loved that stuff, and I grew up appreciating art. My grandpa, for the dumbest, you know, some dumb reason that I don't understand until now, used to like take me to the Detroit Institute of Arts, which, you know, we didn't live by Detroit right away, and he would go, oh, let's go to the art museum. And I didn't, you know, when you're a little kid, you're like, for what? Like,
yeah.
But it stuck, you know, and like, so as I got a little older and old enough to start realizing that there was art that I liked, and I think, like, you know, a lot of music informed my art taste too, because, you know, back in the day, man, you'd get, you know, a fucking Yes album or a whatever, and that shit was fucking intense, man. You'd sit there and fucking stare at it. And I mean, I'm very much a product of that time in music, which is way over a lot of people's heads that are a lot younger than us. I mean, you'll understand, but back when you used to get an LP and it fucking opened up and had shit in the middle of it, you fucking stared at that thing, man. And
I would draw. I mean, my Kiss records are like, they're drawn on basically.
Yeah.
And then the logos. Like, I remember this woman came to my mom's house through like a party, and like she left 2 records there, which were pretty fucking dentful records. It was Ozzy, Blizzard of Oz, and Devo live.
Nice.
So like at that moment, that was a life changer. Me and my fucking Mickey Mouse turntable, literally. Like those 2 fucking
records on my little box that only really plays 45.
Right.
The needle doesn't go over that far.
I know, it's like a plastic fucking thing, but like, you know, those were. I mean, if we were like, it's like it's amazing how things have evolved into like a consumerism, obviously. Totally. But if you really think back, I mean, I would go to the supermarket when I was a little kid, and there would be like fucking records, like Styx records, like on the side, you know?
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah, it's just, you know, I don't say the times now are worse. Like, man, it was so fucking cool back then. But I, you know, just sort of relating on my story of where my love of art came from. You know what I mean? It's definitely. Like I think now, you know, it's almost a little too easy for people. If I had any complaint, but that's just the jaded kind of record collector, like digger in me. That's like, you can find fucking cool shit. It doesn't have to be spoon fed to you. But nowadays, it's mostly spoon fed to you, and that's part of me too, because I'm a label and we make magazines and releases that's pretty much spoon feed people. People are like, why do you have a band camp? I'm like, it's enough just to release this shit. Like the bands that have band camps, you know, we don't need to have our own band camp. So,
yeah.
but,
I mean,
so
every
that's how I got
approach
into art.
is different too. Yeah, every approach is different, man.
Sure.
I mean, I could see where art covers definitely would make some kind of impact, you know? Would you say, like, in the earliest, like, heavy metal days or whatever, which ones would you say were, like, the big guns? I know Number of the Beast for me, man.
Yeah, I mean, that was really cool, but that was probably, I mean, yes, I dig that one, but that was, after a
later for you
really digging. I mean, I remember like the LPs that really stick in my mind, like not necessarily heavy metal, but even going as far back as like Emerson, Lake and Palmer and Yes and things like that. But like when metal started coming for me, it was like Judas Priest LPs were kind of weird. Not that they necessarily had like crazy drawn art, but they just were strange. Like the UFO records were fucking weird too, like Hypnosis, who did all those covers and did a lot of really famous covers back in the 60s, 70s
Floyd,
shit.
right?
Yeah,
and Boy Dukes. That's what's up, man.
I was really loved all that stuff, and so yeah, that's what. But I mean, yeah, things like Number of the Beast, and you start getting farther, like you're like, oh, Slayer Show No Mercy, and it's got the kind of crudely drawn devil guy in the front. You're like, that's fucking cool, man. Or like Motorhead records. Motorhead records always had fucking great art too,
Yeah, so, just that fucking thing, like the face, even.
Yeah.
It was like you were invested, like after just like seeing something that, like I was thinking back to, like you could get invested in a record and not like really like it. Like say like Yngwie Malmsteen's trilogy. You see that fucking cover, you're like, holy shit, dude, that fucking cover is phenomenal, bro.
Yeah.
But like, so you don't really fully grasp that the guitar player's on the cover too. You just look at the fucking dragon, and you're like, god damn. Then you bring that thing home, and you're like, what the fuck is this?
Where'd you start to Yngwie, like, what was your kind of like? I mean, I know maybe you're not as on the art side as me, but I mean, I'm sure you dig it.
Yeah, where did you bring it in, West?
Man, as far as like my, especially when it comes to music, I mean, I keep going back to it, but I mean, like the punk records and shit, I love the black and white, like the Xerox shit, like that shit really got me fucking going. I love the weird fucking kind of mystery behind it. You know what I'm saying? It was more fucked up and weird, the better. You know what I'm saying? And then as far as like, once you start getting into metal and shit, you start getting into, I don't know, whatever, like, Seagrave covers or whatever that you just get fucking lost in for an hour, just stoned listening to a fucking, Nocturnus record, looking at the cover and like getting lost in it or whatever. So
for sure.
Yeah, that stuff extended from definitely from the 70s into the 80s into the 90s. I mean, there was no lack of kick-ass metal and punk covers.
Maybe that's why records are still have love. Like full-length records, because people can fucking fuck with them. Yeah, maybe that's why people like LPs still, because people could still like fuck with them basically and like open them.
It's now it's so much more impersonal, and I say that only from the point of view of that I lived that era when it was LPs and you weren't looking at your phone or you weren't looking at a computer screen. And I'm not saying it's any any worse or any better. It's just I come from a different sort of mindset than that, where most people are used to see, the album art.
They see the record before they even got it. That's it.
So
like, we didn't see the records before they got it. Like we would see the record when we got it.
Right. Brought it home in your hot little hand.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for sure.
From every panel of the fold out on Bandcamp before you got it.
Yeah. I'm with you on the parents thing too, because like I was raiding my parents' record collection like crazy, dude.
Yeah.
And I had inherited my father's fucking collection.
Yeah.
Which was like some fucking Quicksilver fucking what the fuck was that band?
Messenger Service.
Grand Funk Railroad. Yeah. So I mean, that was
Cult.
Yeah, probably,
That was mine. That was the one that I found from my dad's collection. I was like, holy shit, this is
right.
Which one was
fucking
it?
Like?
Oyster Cult?
It was Mirrors.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Mirrors. Fucking Blue Oyster Cult Mirrors.
King Crimson.
Still one of my favorite bands.
The King Crimson record. That big face on it.
I learned a good amount of that stuff too, not only from like my mom's record collection, but like my father's brother, which would technically be my uncle, was only 4 or 5 years older than me, but he started definitely getting into. He was like into the Stooges and into kind of like that era of like mid 70s alt music, you know, that was like just weird shit like King Crimson, Gentle Giant, but also like the Stooges and, you know, very, very early on, like the New York stuff, you know, that was before kind of punk, you know, like, trying to like Talking Heads and stuff that happened around that time. So he had those records and I heard them and he would play them for me and be like, oh, you dig this stuff? And, you know, whatever. And I mean, that's the first time I ever heard Iggy Pop, you know, and it was a record after the Stooges that I had heard. And then I was playing other stuff and I'm like, oh, this is really fucking cool. So I did have other, besides my mom, I guess I had other avenues of people kind of feeding me stuff, you know, until I like was a total delinquent stoner kid and then hung around every other stoner kid that was, you know, it was like a collective of people that like, you're like turn people on to stuff, they turn shit on to you. And, you know, I mean, like I could probably honestly say that I was like one of the only guys I went to a high school that was 2 high schools put together right next to each other. And they were combined with classes at both, they were huge fucking high schools. And I can probably honestly say that like I was the main guy that brought like metal to the school. That wasn't like metal on the radio or like Judas Priest, you know, like any kind of like thrash metal.
You were the cassette like hander-outer.
Yeah, because I would make fucking tapes for people. I would get to the point where like people, by the end of the week, I'd have like 8 or 10 blank tapes to record for people. You know, they're like, dude, make me a tape. You know, and I was glad to fucking spread that stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know,
the mixtape.
Yeah.
Back in the day, man, that was it was like I got this thing off the radio, you know, or, you know, like other, you know, I remember there was a whole frenzy of like, what the fuck was it? When Mental Health came out. Grade school. It was like every fucking person had it. I was like, man, everyone is into metal now, you know?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is like, I think by the time metal started becoming a little bit more radio friendly, like that era you're talking about, I was already kind of beyond that stuff.
Yeah,
right? Like I was already listening like deeper into listening to other metal, so I was kind of like, oh, okay, cool. You know, I mean, like, yeah, it's cool that Twisted Sister's on the radio or whatever, but I'm into this other. So I'm listening to Slayer, you know, or something. Yeah. So I mean, I think that's always been my thing. Is like I've always been kind of a little bit ahead.
Working at the record store, a big piece of this.
What's that?
Was working at the record store a big piece of that?
Yeah, I mean, once I met that guy I was telling you that sold buttons and imports out of the back of his trunk, and he gave me those fanzines. He was like, "Oh, dude, if you want anything, I can order records for you." And I'd be like, "Oh, like I think I got the very first, not Number of the Beast, but the very first Iron Maiden record that way." You know, and I actually saw them on the Killers tour with Paul Di'Anno in '82, I think. My mom, I was 15 years old. I begged my mom to take me. She took me, and it was a super fucking bad neighborhood in this place called Harpo's Concert Center, which I'm sure you probably heard of. And my mom took me to the door. She said, "Can my son come in?" The guy was like, "How old is he?" 15. She's like, the guy said, "It's okay with you?" And they were like, "Yep, here's a ticket." Whacked in. My mom's like, "I'll be at the car." So that was like one of my first like real heavy metal concerts, you know.
Wow.
So
pretty intense, dude.
I know.
And you navigated that as a kid in a way too. So like, you know, like what was the scene like? Was it like was it open? Was it seating? Was it?
You know, you mean like where I grew up in Plymouth, which is like halfway between Detroit and Ann Arbor. I mean, there's lots of cities in between there, but it's a pretty just middle class kind of white, you know, like no crime, no, you know, like lots of delinquent kids like me, but like no trouble. It wasn't the ghetto. It wasn't anything like that. But I mean, as soon as I was probably 14, 15 years old, I had friends that were older that could drive. So that's the first thing we did was, hey, let's go to Ann Arbor and go to this record store. Hey, let's go to Detroit and see the show. Hey, let's, you know, I mean, like the Iron Maiden show was a little bit earlier, you know, a little earlier on than that. But yeah, so it's like I got out of there pretty quickly. And, you know, so I started seeing shows right away. I mean, you know, I never wanted, when I first got my driver's license, back in those days, you used to be able to change your driver's license. You know what I'm talking about? Like it had like a clear coating on one side and like a dull coating on the other side. And that was what all your information was on. Right. It showed through the clear. And you could like scratch the number off and like replace it with another little number and then like put tape on the back. And so it looked like, oh, hey, I changed mine to be 18 because I didn't want to be 21 to drink. I wanted to be 18 so I go to the bar and see bands play. Yeah, you know. Right. So that was my, you know, that I didn't care about drinking. So once I was in the bar, I could drink anyway. But right. You know, like just getting in or just having, you know, so it was kind of like fake ID.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I mean, at that old Iron Maiden show, was that like an amphitheater with like seats and stuff?
No,
I say that was at Harpo's.
No, it was God, I don't know how many people. Maybe a 500-person concert venue. It's like a bar, and they had, you know, concerts all the time. And you know, some nights it'd be local bands playing there, and some nights a lot of the early on, a lot of the bigger kind of medium-sized metal acts played there. You know, like. You know, Motorhead played there a bunch of times. Iron Maiden. I mean, any like probably like some of those hair metal bands like Rat and those bands played when it, like their first tours. And then there was another bar around that came after that. That was a shithole called Blondie's, and
Blondie's.
That was the metal scene. That was the Detroit metal scene right there. I mean, there was a lot of places to go see punk. You know, not a lot, but like a fair amount. They would go in waves. Like one place would open and be open for a year, and then it would close, and another place would open. So there was always good places that had shows, and we had a couple good runs of like punk venues, hardcore venues that stayed around for a little while. You know, that weren't just bars; they were like actual, you know, someone rented a building kind of thing. But yeah, Blondie's was the metal scene in Detroit. You know, that's what was going on.
And then West, I mean, for you, like with show scene, obviously a little different because of age gap.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess by the time I started going to shows, it was the late 90s, early 2000s, where I'm from. Around that time, I guess the big thing was, like, melodic death metal thing was real big. Sort of infiltrating, like, the, what?
Junko Pants.
Yeah. No, it was after that. These were the really tight, like, girl pants and shit. Like, you know, that shit was going on, But no, I mean, I found some, like, I guess that was where I started getting into, I don't know, like, fucking, like, Prayer for Cleansing and Undying and, like, that weird, like, sort of death metal influenced hardcore stuff. And then sort of ended up losing touch with that and getting more into, like, just straight up hardcore and punk and stuff that was a little more primitive. I always just liked really primitive shit. And then that's what steered me towards really fucking ugly death metal and shit. But, you know, I mean, for a while, that's a lot of what I was going to was shows like that, the melodic death metal hardcore bands.
Any venues?
Around here, I mean, it was like Tremont was the big one. I mean, I would go. I've seen everybody from like Anthrax to Agnostic Front there to, you know,
right. Cool.
Like, you know, the early those weird death reunion things or whatever.
Right.
So, death and corporate with the chunk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, I mean, and this was even before, like, you know, bands like Left to Die were doing like really cool. I mean, it was like the early, like when Relapse, I guess, first started handling the death stuff. But anyways, yeah.
What about the locals? We didn't talk about the locals for both of you guys. So say maybe we'll start with West. Like, was there some kind of local bands that were like kind of like something for you?
Yeah, I mean, and that's sort of, I was like bands like Prayer for Cleansing and Undying, Catharsis, bands like that. As far as like straight up death metal, I don't know, like
even hardcore, not a ton. Whatever,
yeah, I mean, like COC's from here. I mean, that was that definitely got me into that style of like fucking dirty hardcore. I mean, before COC was a fucking stoner band or whatever, when they were still playing the sickest fucking band. Hardcore punk you've ever heard, you know, like those fucking early COC records are the shit, man. That's my
fucking A, dude. I was scared to go in their show when I was younger, actually. I had a little flyer for CBGBs, and it was in my fucking wallet. And I had, like, minimal money, man. I had, like, $5 maybe. So it cost $2 to get to the city. The show was $4, so I was $1 short, you know? But I remember being outside CBGBs, and it was, like, DRI and COC and some other fucking band.
I saw that tour.
And I was like, fuck, dude. Oh, so that was a tour, huh? So I was outside the show, and I was like, I was kind of fucking shook to go, and I was shook to ask for money. But I was like, man, I really want to fucking go in there. I want to go in there so bad, dude. Like, I came here to go in there. And, like, you know, like, when you're younger, like, going to a show is kind of like you said, like, your mom brought you to the door. The guy's like, are you sure you want to let this kid in here, you know?
No, he was cool with it. He was like, as long as your mom says it's cool.
But I meant, you know, like, when you went to a show, it was like, there was kind of a fucking element of, it felt like an element of danger. It felt
don't
like
get me wrong, dude.
You know?
That Iron Maiden show, I was so fucking green and out of my element in that way that I walked in there. I walked like straight down. There was like 2 aisles on either side, and it wasn't like it was a big open thing with a high up stage, and there was you know, like tables and chairs with, because it was really a bar, you know, it's just a big fucking bar. But I like went in there and found a place where like nobody was standing, that was like, you know, 3/4 of the way to the stage, not too close, not too far, and just stood there the whole time. Like, just barely moved and watched. Right. Like, oh, fuck. I mean, you know, I didn't fucking know. I didn't know enough to turn around or look at anybody or like, oh, hey, man, you got a fucking Iron Maiden t-shirt on too or what?
That only came later.
Yeah, well, right. I mean, you know, it took me a couple times, but it was going to that. Like, I had been to concerts before, like big fucking concerts. We used to go to concerts. I started going to concerts when I was pretty young, because like I said, I was older friends, so my mom would let me go. Like, I had a friend that was, when I was 13, 14, I had a friend that was 17, and we'd go to concerts like at big fucking stadiums and shit. She would let me go to them. She's like, oh, you're with him, it's cool, and you know, yeah, whatever. And it was always great, you know. So, but I had just never been in that kind of like bigger bar, metal band, club kind of thing, you know.
Club.
Like, oh man, you know. Plus, there was a lot of, you know, denim, you know, vests and spiked wristbands and things that,
I know,
you know, I wasn't really that, you know, that aware of. So,
was it like after that show? Did you feel like you left there saying like, hey, like, what, you know, you got more into that, like those bands and the scenes and the records of the band, or were you
I mean,
found
probably,
some stuff,
but
maybe?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't.
Because thrash came kind of right behind metal, like a fucking...
I really, you know, by the time Number of the Beast came out, I wasn't a huge Bruce Dickinson fan, and like that record, I was like, oh, this is really cool, but I fucking hate that new singer. Like, I just don't like that. I like the earlier, because I had listened to, like, you know, the first record, Killers, on repeat for a long time, you know. So it's like, I don't know, I still was already moving on pretty quickly, you know. Like, definitely. I just was always evolving into like buying records. I mean, we heard fucking Metallica really early on. I mean, I think I got Metallica's like a live thing. It wasn't their actual No Life Till Leather. It was like an actual, like right around the same time, but like a live recording of them in like Cleveland or fucking somewhere, you know, like Pennsylvania or something. And that was like the first time I heard that. And then I got the No Life Till Leather, and then I started discovering like, oh, they put a record out, and I saw them real early on. I saw them in like 83 probably, something like that. It was like right after, it was in between Kill 'Em All and whatever the next record was. Fucking, you know. And then I saw them a bunch of times after that, but I mean, that's how early I saw them, you know.
That's
so
cool, man.
We were kind of moving on to that stuff. So I mean, yeah, you know, I could say that, like, I wouldn't say that like that Iron Maiden show changed my life or any show.
No.
Well, but I'm saying, like, I think I was already on that path anyway, so it was just, you know, more ammunition to keep going, I guess, if you would, you know. But I learned like real early to go to shows and buy records, and, you know, like, I just had a lust for music that was not easily quenchable. You know, I spent every fucking cent that I had on records, and every fucking penny that I could steal or fucking whatever, I bought records with, you know. And it makes me sound like a crazy record collector, but I mean, that wasn't a lot of records, because I might have $10 in a week or $20 to when you go out to like a really good record store where you find $300 worth of fucking kick-ass records, and you got $25 or $20, you know, you're like, fuck. So yeah, not to get off
used sections back then, you know, for
not
$1.
So much.
And then,
I mean, the places that we went to were a little bit more, like I said, we went to Ann Arbor, which was a college town. They did have some used stuff, but none of that, no metal or punk was ever used, you know, because if people bought that, they bought it specifically. It wasn't like, oh, I don't really like this, and you'd find something cool. You'd find a lot of cool stuff. It just wasn't used, you know.
What about you? What about you with the demos? When did you step into the demo zone?
I think I started tape trading first through punk magazines like Maximum Rock and Roll, you know, just like reading the classifieds in the back, and like people would, you know, kind of have a list or say, oh, send me your list or whatever, you know. And I, at that point, had gotten more stuff and would tape stuff from my records or whatever. And yeah, then I started trading, and then I just started getting into a lot of different stuff that way, and everything that came in like through Thrasher. And plus I was talking about like all of this foreign fucking hardcore, like Japanese hardcore and things like that. That was this next stuff. It was like, oh, I got to get that. And that was the only way that you could really get that, was to tape trade, you know?
Right.
So I just looked in punk magazines, and it was kind of the same with metal. Is like, you find this stuff and you go, oh, okay, I gotta kind of trade for that. You know, you can't just go up to the fucking record store and buy, you know, a fucking Death demo or anything.
You got to search.
Right. So
the searches were much deeper.
That's kind of how it came for me. You know, and it went from there. I was, like I said, I'm insatiable when it came to music. So I just wanted more. I wanted to find the heaviest, the fastest, the, you know, whatever. And that's just what I did, you know?
Cool, man. Dude, that's a long history. I mean, not too many people, I don't think there's been one. I mean, maybe Richard Santos, but beyond him, like, you and him are probably go back the oldest on Death Metal Podcast.
Yeah.
To say, like, you know, I was into this fucking Iron Maiden record when it first dropped. Like,
yeah. I mean, so, you know, and it's all, I guess, you know, when you think about it in a weird way, it's like it was good place at the right time, you know, working at a record store and kind of coming across that guy that sold us our buttons and had imports, but also just having like a super lost for music. You know, I really loved music, so it was really easy for me to, you know, it's so funny because I still to this day don't understand how people don't listen to music intensely, or they're just like casual listeners. You know, you're like, oh, did you hear that? And they're just even the most random shit, like, oh, did you hear the new popular Britney Spears songs? No, man, I don't ever, the radio's never on my car, you know, just anything like that. I'm like, how do you live your life
without a soundtrack?
Yeah, dude, I've got a soundtrack playing in my fucking head, let alone, you know, a record collection or whatever. So
yeah,
but yeah, I go pretty far back, so I don't try to make that as a
you don't fly that flag, obviously.
Yeah, no, I'm not like a boaster. I mean, I'll tell people stories. I got a million.
No, I mean,
stories.
That's why we're on here to talk about not just, you know, about both of you guys. And about the label and you know, the magazines and everything. So you sent me a few tracks too.
Let's play something.
We could play some music and then let people hear. You basically were explaining to me that you sent me stuff that basically has not been heard yet, correct?
Yeah. So 2 of the tracks are from an upcoming split between Barren and Vomit Spell. So there's 2 tracks that nobody's heard.
All right, why don't we check those out?
I think outside of them.
All right, yeah. So we'll check it out. So this is the Vomit Spell.
Yeah.
All right, check it out, people.
Demons
Death Metal Podcast exclusive. So that was Vomit Spell. So what could you guys talk to that release a little bit?
Yeah, so Vomit Spell, sick fucking German grindcore. So Barren and Vomit Spell, both at their core death grind bands, but definitely some nuances between the two of them. Like Vomit Spell is more like very influenced by a lot of like bestial shit, blasphemy, stuff like that. Barren is, I sort of liken them to like Terrorizer played through Entombed's gear.
Yeah,
it's like HM2. Okay. They call themselves Chainsaw Grind. So even though they're two death grind bands, they both have like different sounds. And like when I listen to a split, I don't want to hear two bands that are fucking carbon copies. But, if you dig Vomit Spell, you're going to dig Barren and vice versa. So I think it was a really good pairing of two fucking sick, like, current death grind bands.
Yeah, good stuff. I mean, I'm not familiar with the band's name. Actually, I think I might. Did they have a demo out, too?
Vomit Spell actually has an LP on Life After Death. Shout out, Eric. Check out his distro. I think there's still some copies left, so you should pick that up.
Maybe that's where I know that name already. Yeah, shout out to Life After Death Records.
Yeah, Vomit Spell, both those bands are savage, man. They're fucking both really good. So we're pretty excited about this split. It's taken a while to it's not to go off on a tangent again, but it's hard. Like that Finnish compilation that we did, it took a fucking year, man. I mean, it took from the time that we started asking bands. Some bands were like, "Oh yeah, we have a track already, or we're recording next week." Other bands didn't turn in their song until like a week before we sent the tape off. So It just took fucking forever. So even doing like a split with two bands sometimes is like hard when you're like, oh, they're recording now, but they're not recording for the next, until 4 months from now. So it just takes a while,
And to be honest, as a record label owner too, you're multitasking through several fucking bands too. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And not just bands, band members.
Yeah. Also. I mean, not only are we using bands in the magazine because, the magazine, every magazine comes with a compilation with between 14 and 16 bands on it. So we're dealing with all those bands, but then we also are dealing with, anywhere from 10 to 20 bands at a time, trying to juggle releases and figure things out and figure out when they fit or when they're going to record or what we're going to do or so I mean, plus we have
a lot of juggling.
Plus we have another magazine that also has a compilation tape, so that it's a lot of fucking stuff. It's a lot for two people. I mean,
from a business guy's point of view, just to ask to you guys if you were willing to spew this knowledge. I mean, do you guys are like interested, or work with like business softwares or anything? Something that brings something to the table.
It's all in my head and Wes's acting abilities.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty fucking primitive, man. We have a couple of shared, like, Google Docs, like some fucking word processor shit.
Okay.
And we use spreadsheets like a fucking goddamn 8th grade computer class or some shit where we store everything. And then, like, lots of texting. I'm pretty sure that I fucking text Brian more than my wife at this point. So,
Yeah. We use, like, design software for the magazines and stuff like that, but I mean, as far as the business of the label,
the business of the label. That's what I was asking about.
Yeah, we don't even have a mailing list. I mean, what did we talk about a mailing list like 2 years ago? We were like, we should do a mailing list.
No, we do. We've got a mailing list. So some people will know that there's like 1,000 people on it or some shit. We've sent out like 2 or 3 blasts.
Oh man,
but it's been a minute. It's been a minute.
Yeah. No,
which actually I got the software from that actually from Roy. It's the one he uses for Necroharmonic. I was like, nice. What does Roy use? And I found that program and created an account there.
You know what? There's a lot of game in this game, and if we could bring this to even some of the watchers, and then they get inspired to do fucking something with their goddamn lives instead of watching us, maybe somebody would fucking do some additional shit, or it's for me to learn. I mean, I fuck with a program called Asana, which is like a fucking scheduling software thing, and it's like a chalkboard thing almost. So like I noticed after I started fucking with that, first I died on it, and then I came back to it, and I was like, this thing fucking kills, man. It was free, dude. It's free. And I've been fucking with it for years, and like I'm like, this thing was fucking free, man. I don't even pay for this. Google Docs is awesome also.
Let me give you my opinion on that. All you kids out there that love death metal and are watching this, don't fucking start a label. There's too many fucking labels. There's too many bands. There's not enough fans. Stay being a fan.
Yeah, that's true.
Buy shit and support people from everybody.
War room talk,
Yeah.
exactly. A little bit. I mean, I wanted to bring a little bit of that to this because basically, like, we are talking to a person who does production and a record label. So, like, if we don't have a little bit of war room talk in here, I mean, I you know, like, even for Head Split Records, you know, he's easily in our fucking war room, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So, like,
yeah, you know, it's I don't want to. I say that, and you know, but at the same time, it's a little hypocritical because you know, I'm also part of the issue. So are you. So is Dylan. So is every other fucking.
Right.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like there should only be one label that puts everything out. I mean, but there's just so much new. You know, I'm a newer label. I mean, we've only been around for 5 years. I mean, it's not like, you know, it's not like we're like we're the old guys. I mean, you know, but it's just so many new labels popping up, and there's only so many bands to release, and there's only so many
more zines
release stuff. So you know, who the fuck is buying this?
Yeah, more zines.
Totally.
Yeah. And like, I know that we've got like a slick zine or whatever, and we work really hard on it. We're proud of it, but I'm just as fucking into a cut and paste goddamn glue stick fucking
That's what I was gonna say. I'm
Scotch
all
tape
about the glue stick
zine as I am anything else. So don't like look at ours and be like, oh, I've got to do something like that. Like fuck no. Like you could do a half size, you know, go steal copies from Kinko's or FedEx or Office Max or whatever the fuck.
Your school,
and like
your work.
Yeah, exactly. Your university library.
Your grandmother's fucking work.
Your job.
Exactly.
The best resource for shit to steal shit. Like
Where?
pens and paper and copies and fucking, you know, phone stuff and all that. So yeah.
Where?
We highly endorse that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I said where
Finnish
that?
Death is we're big fans of.
So yeah, the Finnish tape. So that would be like your newest drop, basically.
Yeah,
I'm gonna show it right here. So I saw Leprophiliac covered Leprophiliac. I thought that was fucking sick, dude.
Yeah, and it is. That track is a goddamn ripper.
It is.
Right, and I mean some of the bands on here, the Father Befouled, Anatomia, like these bands seem so at home with this like comp. You know what I mean? So Leprophiliac and Sequestrum and Undergang, you know, like they seem at home because these are the bands that influence them, especially when you have somebody like Dopey, who has a band.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we didn't just pick random bands. I mean, we picked bands that we knew were way into the Finnish stuff, and you know that we didn't just like randomly ask a band that we didn't know or whatever, that we didn't know if they liked Finnish art or Finnish, you know, death metal or not. I mean, we picked bands. That's kind of one other reason it took so long, you know, because we waited for a lot of people. We're like, okay, yeah, you're not going to record for 7 months. Okay, we'll wait, you know, because we really wanted to have that track on there. So
cool. Yeah. And what about between you two guys? Like, who is the fucking assembler? Because you guys obviously are making your stuff. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Brian's the printer and I'm the assembler, and we both, yeah.
You both
work Brian on elaborate.
You both work on some both aspects of that in a weird way, or
yeah, we
Brian's
both
mainly the printer though.
Yeah, I mean, that was the sort of idea. I mean, the magazine was first. You know, when I started doing the magazine, I'm like, well, man, I'm collating all these bands into a compilation because I always really wanted, you know, and tell me if I'm wrong or not, Roy, because you've been around as long, but wouldn't it have been cool to get a fucking Kerrang or fucking, you know, Sounds or one of those old metal magazines that came with a fucking tape or a CD that said these are all the bands. These are all
just
the
having the fucking Autopsy Paradise Lost flexi disc in that one thing was like some big fucking deal.
So I mean, you know, I had magazines before Noxious Ruin. I've been doing art magazines for quite a while, and so that was like my big idea was like not only make a kick-ass metal zine that had, you know, obviously bands and art, but also to do a compilation with it, so that when you're sitting there reading it, you're not only just reading it, you're listening to the bands that are in it, you know.
Yeah, you got a fucking soundtrack.
Right. Yeah. So that was
So
the big thing.
can you elaborate on your on other like works that you do, because you mentioned before too, like you do some kind of printing work, or you had a earlier knowledge of some kind of printing, or
I learned how to screen print in high school, and then did it on my own. I had my own little, like, I don't know, I want to say small business, but it really wasn't. It was basically just printing shirts for my bands and my friends' bands and stupid flyers and shit when I was a kid after I learned how to do it. And then really didn't do it again for a while. Like I kind of had my own thing, and would do some side jobs, like someone would be like, hey,
so you would do paper and you would do shirts.
Yeah, when I first started, I was like, I learned how to do paper and shirts, but when I first started doing it on my own, like at my house, and actually bought equipment, I was just doing shirts. And I was doing a little bit of paper, but it was mostly shirts, and I was doing like plastisol ink, cured and stuff like that. But I had all homemade stuff. Like the only thing I didn't make myself was the screens, and I bought this used oven that someone had brought into a screen printing place to get fixed, and they never picked it up. So the guy was like, I'll sell you this little panel oven piece for $50. And I was like, there you go. He's like, that's all you need. And I made my rig. The rest of it was like wood, like, I made all the rest of the stuff and bought some hinges and everything. So I did that for a little, a couple of years. And I kind of lost track, lost interest in it or whatever. And so when I started doing my magazines, I always wanted to get back into screen printing, even before Noxious Ruin, the art magazines and stuff, but I just really didn't have kind of an avenue to do it in a strange way, and I just really didn't have the concept down. But then as soon as I started doing Noxious Ruin, then I was like, well, if I'm putting together all these bands, I might as well just start a fucking label too, because there's so much cool shit that like I dig that no one's putting out. And my idea was, I'm just going to make it different than everybody else's stuff, because it comes from my creative
from the heart, dude. Because like, I mean, I could show this easily, which was, let's I'm going to put me on full screen. So like this tape I had bought, it was like, I like the band anyway, Sequestrum,
Oh, good.
So like, like I was a fan, and then basically like when I was, these layouts and this stuff of like what you have made, you could, there's extra things here, you have like the way it's printed, this card stock that it's printed on, you know what I mean? Like little things, the little things that, somebody, who also makes stuff notices, So like, but for regular fans and like other people too, like you're really going into like a zone that like not too many people are in a way, because you're not going through like a traditional like cassette like box shell case thing, and doing like the just all paper and the fold. And what made you like think about and do that, just out of curiosity?
I think it was because any time that when I was young and started buying records and trading tapes and all that stuff, anytime that you would get something that was special, whether it was like you traded a tape with some dude, we like made the tape cover, the tape cover really cool with some just shitty art or whatever, like just something different, And yeah, exactly. Like all the old school stuff where you get like a letter, or like some dude would draw you a shitty picture or something, and I always dug that, but also not really on the collecting end, because that was way, like, I was into this stuff kind of way before it was really like record collector chic kind of stuff. But just when you get special stuff, when you get like a 7-inch that opened up and then it had like a really cool printed inside, like an insert to it, I just always liked that stuff. So I always wanted to do something that was not typical releases, so that when I started doing the Noxious Ruin thing and started the label, I hadn't screen printed in 30 years, 25 years.
Oh shit. Okay.
Like, I'm going for this, man. And I had no idea. I had gotten a cassette that had a Maltese case from I don't even remember which band it was, but I was like, man, this is really fucking cool. It wasn't black or anything. It just had cool art on it. And I was like, this is a fucking cool idea. So I was like, I'm going to fucking do that with my releases. So I'll just order tapes from a plant. I'll get them, and then I'll screen print everything else. And basically what I was doing was I was screen printing on flat paper on both sides, and then I was cutting each individual one out, scoring each individual one, folding and putting the tape in there, and screen printing the inserts of them. I mean, now we like I get it from a company in Finland. I get all my Maltese cases
Right.
from them, and they're already like pre-cut, but we print them all. You know, we do all.
We used to cut those out originally.
Originally, every single one of them with a fucking X-Acto knife, dude.
Right.
Yep.
Like one of the early ones that he
let's
cut
see
out
it.
that he even
I wanna
put
see
together
that.
with some tape. So these were ones that he had cut out. This was actually the one of my band that he
That's
did.
of your band? And then you did like a 2-color print, it looked like. You did
That
one
was
color
only
on
one-
one
that-
side?
that-
Oh, no. It's one color.
Yeah, that was only we did a couple.
He was
different
hand
colors.
cutting all of that.
So you made 2 different screens, or you put it on one screen to make this?
Well, yeah, I mean, I it depends. You know, that stuff is not that big, so I can usually fit, you know, at least both sides and like the insert on one screen. And it depends on the screens. If I'm doing something bigger, like when we do, the Finnish compilation, that had, I think, 8 different screen prints on the whole thing between the magazine, the cover, the insert, the whole stuff. So everything was smaller, so I had one very large screen that I worked off of that had a bunch of different designs on it, and I was able to, you know, it's not just one thing in the middle like printing a t-shirt, you know.
Yeah, and also, if you're doing this, are you like building jigs and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in a minute.
Maybe you could elaborate what that is
How
for
about
the
this?
regular ass listeners and shit.
I'll show you. Hang on.
Yeah, show us. We're gonna go behind the scenes right now
The curtain back.
into the
Wizard of Oz
mansion of the
shit.
Playboy executive. He's got the grotto.
Ah!
You know, we're heading towards Brian's grotto right now. So if you see any naked women, we have to put a sensor on it.
So this is my homemade screen printing rig right here.
Okay.
I mean, this is a piece of wood pulled out of the garbage. I get my screens made by a company that locally, and I bought hinges. I mean, that's what I do most of my flat stock on. Hold on.
Here's a sneak peek at the Noxious Ruin poster.
Yeah. There's my t-shirt rig. All
Okay.
homemade. This was from a shelf.
So you guys can see, basically, if you wanted to be a fucking t-shirt printer, you can work with 2 fucking hinges and a piece of wood.
Yeah, that's all you really need. I mean, everything is like when I don't know if you've ever seen. Hold on a second.
Now I'm loving this, Brian. Just to be honest, dude, you know, because I mean, this is to show. This was actually like, you know, like I always thought in life, I was like, if every piece of equipment died one day on me, then I could basically fucking like I could get 2 fucking hinges and a piece of fucking wood.
Yeah.
And I could make something. So like that was like a kind of like an epiphany for me. I was like, holy fuck, dude, you know?
Yeah. But here I'll give you the panorama of my whole shop here.
All right, you bring it on, brother. We're getting the Noxious Ruin panorama. And then you have a lot of skateboards. Did you print those too?
No, just kind of
Just collected them?
Collector kind of guy.
Those are nice.
So,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, here.
Very sick. What can you talk to the Coffin boxes a little bit?
Oh yeah. So anyway,
Because
I was going to show you, but anybody that bought the Ruin box that we did just recently, that were the ones that were the silver ones that were screen printed. This is what I built for that. I built this specially out of some wood from my shed, just to do those boxes. That was it.
Scientific shit right there.
Yeah.
Box goes right in there. The hinges go on. I mean, it's basically screened on the top.
And then you use ink that's what do you call it?
I used air dry. Yeah, I used air dry ink.
Air dry ink. Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, most of the stuff, like 90% of the stuff that I print out is paper, so I don't need plastisol for t-shirts. And I mean, air dry ink works actually pretty well on shirts too. It doesn't last as long as plastisol does. I mean, plastisol will probably be here 1,000 years after.
And this is the end result of the box up top. If you guys want to take a look.
Yeah. Actually, that one, the black box right there. This
is the black box version.
The black box is etched. That's Wes does those with lasers. But if you see the silver box, there's a silver box that we did.
I own the silver box.
Yeah.
Actually, I could show it live on here. Forgot. I'm actually prepared for this one. So this was the silver box that you printed with that. So what did you just stick the lid in there?
No, the whole thing. Just stick it in the hole.
Uh-huh. Just
Put
stick
the
it in the
box
hole.
in there, bring the screen down, screen print it, lift it up, take the box out, put another one in, and that's it.
I missed that black etched one. I didn't realize there were two different ones.
Yeah, the black etch one was another one we did. West, some of the work that he does involves laser etching, so he does all of our laser etch stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, so yeah, that was
See it,
that's
brother.
what the
Sneak
new
peek at the new.
that's the Barren split, the Barren and Vomit Spell split. That's on a
That's amazing.
laser. Yeah.
And what about the outsourcing of the cases and all that stuff for this stuff? Is that hard?
China.
China.
Yeah,
we buy them, ship them in, and
yeah.
And it was the same for
work.
this.
Get it
Like
from AliExpress.
Yeah.
You just bring in some AliExpress.
Yeah.
That's sick, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. I wanted to show something
So you
here.
work with a case of beer and a Van Halen record and go to town.
Let me take you off
Running
solo.
with the devil.
I had something else to show here that related
Always.
to this. So this was the release too. This is the
Yes.
new releases coming from Noxious Ruin Handwrought.
That's us.
Two brand new splits. Barren and
Barren.
Vomit Spell.
Barren and Vomit Spell.
Yeah, when I stutter when I have to read the things off here, but this is like for the podcast later, basically. Anatomia and
Kandarivas.
from Japan, right?
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
double
So
Japan
that one
one.
is it's two like the only reason we're not playing any of those songs tonight is because they're both like fucking 12, 13-minute tracks. Like they both went really long form. Anatomia got kind of like drony, doomy, fucking just terrifying, fucking long form. And
We could have
Kandarivas
played
is
that easily, dude.
Kandarivas is a grind band for the most part, but they did this sort of weird, deathy, grindy composition that's somewhere around the like 12 to 15-minute mark. And actually, Takashi from Anatomia, I think, did all the vocals, if not some of the vocals, definitely on that.
Okay, I just was noticing some of that today. I didn't realize the bands were a little interconnected, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Takashi, longtime
I mean,
friend.
Takashi's
too.
not normally their singer. It's sort of a guest spot that he's doing
Right.
on that Kandarivas track. Yeah.
I mean, Takashi is a rock star now, so let's be honest. You know, he's
fucking
been around
Takashi, the
longer
goat.
than me, too.
Yep.
And,
Yeah.
you know, he's rolled around the United States. I saw Necrophile in 91,
Yeah.
G. Willikers.
Yeah.
So, like, the boy has been around.
Yep.
The man.
Yeah, they played Michigan too. I didn't know anything about it until after it happened. But yeah, they played like not even like in Detroit. That show was supposed to be at this like bar with like a little festival, and like Anal Cunt was supposed to play, and I can't remember a few bands, and Necrophile ended up playing, and it was just at
They
this
played like
out-of-the-way
3
bar,
shows
like,
across the United States on like
Yeah, it
just
was,
a visit, basically.
They only played a couple shows, you know.
Yeah, just 3.
Yeah. So
The Takashi took us to some bars in Japan, super killer dudes and diehard motherfuckers. You know what I want to know about Takashi, and I keep I gotta ask Yun or whoever, like, what the fuck are those things where they put their feet on it and they get their feet fucking cleaned or whatever the fuck it is? Do you guys ever see any of their videos?
oh yeah, I mean,
I saw him post some of that shit from that Asakusa or whatever. They were there and doing some kind of fountain.
Yeah, what is
stuff
that?
I know
What
nothing
the
about.
fuck is that? Does nobody in the chat probably knows what that is, but I'm gonna have Takashi on while I ask him about it.
yeah, I mean, I've been
Yeah, he would be a killer guest.
It was like they were walking around. He's been on before, but they were walking around on like the stones, and like it must have some kind of therapeutic processes, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you did a release with Anatomia too, several. Yeah. So I mean, which the pinnacle, I mean, is definitely has to be for me this box set with the fucking cockroaches in it.
Yeah.
Which is you know, like even though it has a cassette in it and everything, when I had opened it up and there was a bunch of cockroaches, I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude," you know. And what appeared to be some kind of human fucking flesh or something, you know.
It smelled like it too.
What I mean, can you guys? I'm sure you probably can't divulge to the watchers like where you divulged the human flesh for this coffin, right?
I don't know what you're talking about, Roy.
I don't know either. So
Yeah.
can we talk about the coffins though? Because those are dope, man. You
Yeah.
make these guys? You guys make
Box now.
these with CNC machines or something?
What's that?
Do you guys make these coffins with CNC machines
No,
or something?
these ones, the coffin boxes that I did, I found a guy that does like woodworking stuff.
Right.
And I think he's from like maybe like Yonkers, New York or something like that. And he does like, he makes a lot of like stuff like that and he sells them, not really in bulk, but just cool little things, you know?
Right.
And, so I found these coffin boxes and they were just like unstained coffin boxes and he does a couple different sizes of them. And so I emailed him and started talking to him, had a conversation back and forth. And I'm like, hey, I'm looking for something like this. And he's like, well, I can easily like change the patterns and make you how I make them. I can make you something that's more specific for your thing. So I was like, well, it's got to fit the cassette and blah, 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 blah. So I was like, yeah, I want, cause, you know, every time we've done one of these, we've done 3 so far. We did an Undergang one, we did Anatomia, and we did Ripakulu. Yeah, and every time we've done them, the guy has made them for me. But I only do like, you know, 50 to 60 copies of them. So, I mean, I'm only buying 50 boxes at a time.
Right. And these are laser etched, Wes?
No, these are screen printed.
No, those are screened.
All right, these ones were screened?
Yeah, and they have all the stuff in them. There's patches that are screen printed, the inserts screen printed. You know, there's a bunch of shit in there.
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys are really going off, dude, here. Because, like, the artistic shit that's happening here is on some next level fucking death metal shit, for real.
Yeah.
So, I have to give my fucking caps off to you, both of you guys, for putting this much effort into, like, one of my favorite bands and one of my friends' bands. And then they put out their first CD in the US. So, like, to me, like, you know, to see something that's so fucking special and good and fits the band too, you know what I mean? Like it feels fucking good, man, you know? So it's just, nice.
Like I said, we want our shit to look cool, and you know, there's so many, and not, you know, even talking shit about the fact that there's so many, but that there's so many labels, but I mean, we just needed to do something that kind of got us in our own niche or whatever, you know, just something that's sort of, you know, just doing our own thing. And
yeah, no, I mean, that's how
it works,
happen.
and I'm proud of it.
Yeah, you should be. And then, you know, you come with good content too. So, like, I hate to call bands content, but, you know, like, you come with something that's fucking hot, you know what I mean? Whether it be the art.
We like to move units, so we try to make things.
Yeah, 50 units. You guys have to remember too, like the heart and soul that's put into these releases, and then also like the photography of them and like the pushing, and like for 50 fucking releases, like in the end you probably feel a little like kind of like, damn man, I fucking murdered myself on that thing, you know? So anyone that buys these things has to understand that they are a fucking heart of love, dude. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, the thing is that like if I regretted it or didn't like it or didn't want to do it, I fucking wouldn't, man.
I understand.
I march to my own beat, you know, like I think Wes and I both kind of do. And the thing is that first and foremost, and I've said this a bunch of times, and I'm sure people are sick of hearing me saying it, but first and foremost, I make shit that I would want to buy. That's cool. That I'm like, holy fuck. And I'm willing to put the fucking effort into it. Wes too, you know, it's like we're willing to put the effort in, and we might only make 50 or something or 75 or 100. I mean, we don't sell a lot of shit. I mean, we're not making any money off this. It's a straight, like, we like this band. We're going to do the coolest thing we can for them, even though they might be Undergang, or they might be some fucking band that started, you know, a month ago that nobody fucking knows about. It. That's what we're into.
That's cool.
We're willing to put the work into it. I've never regretted anything that we've done. I mean, I busted my ass on a lot of shit that we've done, but I've never said, man, it ain't worth to fucking bust my ass on. I mean,
I was trying to tell people that buy it, like, buy the fucking shit now, dude. Like, everything they make is, like, completely fucking, like, there's so much to it, you know what I mean? It's important. The label
called Handwrought. Handwrought means handmade. So that's why the label's called that, because, I mean, other than, you know, buying the tape, the actual cassette from a place that's, you know, duplicating it for us, everything else we do on our own, you know, like
exactly.
by us. So
the
yeah.
Anatomia, you know, if you get the cover for the Human Lust demo, which I got the original back in the day.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like, then it has the fucking nice things and Tortuary, right?
Yeah, that was a fucking ripper too.
Yep.
So, I mean, let's cut these covers, and then, like, you have, like, these screen prints and stuff, and, like, you passed out some screen prints that came with the magazine, I remember.
Yeah, every issue comes with a screen printed small poster. It's basically just 8.5 by 11, but every magazine comes with one. I think the first 1 or 2 issues I didn't do that for, and then I was like, oh fuck, I'm doing all the screen printing. I might as well have somebody do art for it and make a screen printed poster for it. So yeah, that's going on for, you know. Yeah, we got a new issue coming out like real fucking quick, and it looks like this.
Oh shit!
The back looks like this.
Gotcha. Oh, cool.
No, you guys got the first view.
Can drop, you know, you could drop it like that.
Yeah.
Sick. So this is the This is the volume number 9 and the new issue.
Yep.
Very sick, dude.
It's 144 pages. It's fucking big like a book, and it's got a lot of fucking killer stuff in it. So
I didn't think because I asked for an interview that you would have the entire zine ready for us too.
Well, the funny thing is, Roy, is that like I just got this is a proof copy that I got in the mail, which was approved. So I just got it yesterday.
That's cool, man. Yeah. Good timing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, did the cassettes even come yet, West?
No, cassettes haven't dropped yet, but
a couple weeks. We just got to get
this comp is fucking sick.
I'm loving the energy, bro, because like you guys put in a lot of energy.
Should I mention some of the bands that are on it? I see fucking Mike in the chat right there. There's a unreleased fucking plasmodulated track that fucking rips. It's got some fucking death metal voivod vibes. I fucking love it. That shit rips. Fucking Primitive Warfare has got a new track on it. Ancient Death, who I think you may or may not be familiar with, Roy, has a new track on it.
I heard it.
Damn, I'm trying to think of it all off the top of my head. Serpent Corpse from Canada, Scorching Tomb from Canada.
Yeah. Here, let me go down the list.
Damn, I'm blanking.
Man,
oh yeah, go down the list.
Ancient
Death.
Let
them know.
Frost, Blood Curdling, Disengagement, Doom Creeper, Harsh Realm, Malformed, Petrification, Piss Rot, Plasmodulated, Porphyrion. I don't know how to say that name.
Porphyrion. That shit fucking rips.
Primitive Warfare, Scorching Tomb, he said, Serpent Corpse, Tenebro, and Vomit Spell.
Very sick, dude. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
And I mean,
fucking all the comps we do, and it's not a boasting or a bragging thing, but like we don't put shit out or put stuff on our compilations that we don't like. Like this is the shit that we like. Whether it's popular or cool or like, oh, that's a hot new band or what fucking I get it. What the hot new band is. I just know what I like. That's all. You know.
Could we talk a bit to your issues? Because like I don't have a photo of issue 1, but from issue 2 on, like you guys were making from issue 2 on, you started making a comp tape to go with the fucking.
No, they all had
it. Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, from issue 1, that was like the main goal is to do a comp tape. So I mean, yeah, we have 9 issues.
And then there's issue 3, and this was the comp tape. And then issue 4, volume 4.
Yeah.
Volume 4, like Sabbath. And I mean, the comp tapes have amazing stuff on the
artwork right there.
I see Cemeterian in there. Yeah. I see Fumes, Cyanide, Coffins. You know, you have some amazing bands here, dude, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, all this stuff, like, you know, the different artwork for the covers, too, is like, this is like some next level fucking shit, dude, you know? Mm-hmm. And then like, the comp that comes with it, fuck, dude, like, more artwork, you know?
Yeah, for us, the art stuff in our releases and in the magazine is just as important as the music is. Like, we're not making a death metal magazine and going, oh, we should put some art in there, like, it's more the other way around. It's more of an art magazine that's got death metal content and a death metal tape that comes with it, you know?
Right.
So, I mean, it's really 50-50, but I mean, it's, you know, that's like a really important thing. So it's not like, you know, I mean, that's, I don't know if some of this stuff could have been as cool if we wouldn't have had as cool of artists that agreed to do stuff for us. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Once the name got out a little bit, just very small. But I mean, even like the first issue had Autopsy in it. It had Undergang, and it had a bunch of bands on the tape. So it started out really where people were like, oh, what the fuck is this? You know, so it was easy for us to like ask artists to say, hey, if you want to do a page for the next one, they're like, oh, fuck yeah, man. And then, you know, it goes from there, and then more artists know about it. And I mean, like I said, I was doing art magazines. I did.
Yeah, talk to that. That's what I was trying to ask you to talk to.
Yeah, I will.
What kind of art magazines?
I did a bunch of art mag. I think I did about 9 different magazines. Well, there was actually 7 different magazines, and 3 of them had more than one copy. And so I met a lot of artists that way. Not that they were all death metal artists; they were just all over the map artists. You know, just weird shit and gross stuff, and just sexual shit and just weird stuff. So that's how I like. So I had a lot of friends from that before I even started Noxious Ruin. You know, so I had to come out like Matt Sticker, Bargain Bin Blasphemy, the cover of number 2. He had done a bunch of art for me in past my art magazines. Matt Carr, Putrid Matt.
Putrid.
Yeah, he was doing art for me for a long time, and he did a couple covers from a couple of my art magazines, which I'll go grab them and dig them out. But so I knew a lot of dudes that were already in the metal scene and in that sort of realm, you know. So it really wasn't a big stretch when I started getting artists. Now I'm just like, as the magazine's gone, I learn of more and more and more, because I'm really bad at social media, and I'm really bad at like really following other people or really putting the dragnet out, because I'm on there as much as I need to be, and then I'm like put my phone away. Like Wes does a lot of our Instagram stuff too, and I should be looking for more artists, but I find them every time, because you know we do open calls for the art magazines or for the magazine and say, hey, open submission. Right. And that's how we get a lot of the stuff. That's how we get 99% of it. And I learn of a lot of kick-ass new artists from that. People are like, oh, check this out. Even if they're like new guys starting out, it's like we try to give everybody a chance. Like there's, you know, if somebody's been in a couple issues, and they give me the most kick-ass piece for the next issue, I'll be like, yeah, dude, this is the fucking coolest thing, but I got to give some other people a chance. You know, like I got a bunch of other.
That sounded like me booking shows back in the day.
Yeah, no offense. It's just, you know, it's like I got.
No, you play every show, bro. Like, sorry.
We learn about artists, so yeah. But if you want to play another song, I'll go snatch some other.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah,
let's bring. If you guys want to introduce the Hacked Apart stuff.
Yeah, so this is a Hacked Apart track. The only place that this, it's actually a good segue, because the only place that this has appeared was on the compilation for Noxious Ruin Volume 8. It has not been on any of their other releases. Fucking smokes. It's one of our favorite fucking current bands. We did a release from them. We still have some copies available that has their demo and a live set on it, and it fucking smokes.
And we'll show that too.
Fucking great.
Here it is. Bring it.
Oh,
Yeah.
There you have it.
Blaze.
Act apart.
Yeah. Those guys are fucking so good. They got a new record coming out. And we're supposed to do something with them possibly later this year, but they're kind of behind on recording for like splits, and they're working on their LP, and they're
Where are they from? Yeah.
There's an interview with them in the new Noxious Ruin. So
Squamish.
Yeah.
Canada.
Yeah. Fuck
Canada?
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
They were sick.
I think Squamish is kind of near British Columbia.
Yeah, it is.
If I'm not mistaken.
And this was the release that came out with the live?
Yep. Yeah, and one of their demos.
Yeah. Cool.
It was kind of like two things put on one tape.
Yeah, I see that. And then the inside art is fucking phenomenal, dude. Like,
yeah,
what is the thing on the right?
That's my friend from Spain, Narcissus Voter. He's the guy that did the new cover of the newest issue. He's done art from me for one of my first art magazines. I've known that guy for a bunch of years now, and he's a young guy. He's not only an artist, but he's a tattooer. I mean, he did the cover of this. This is the new Noxious Ruin. It's hard to see, but
no, I see it. It looks fucking great, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, his art's just, he does mostly black and white stuff, but it's fucking insane.
That looks fucking phenomenal.
We've had him do art for a bunch of releases. He's been interviewed in our magazine. He's just, he's an amazing artist.
Yeah, and it's important to give the props to the artists, because they are stepping right alongside the bands. And a lot of times artists are left in the shadows.
I wish we had the tapes for the new compilation to show. Moribund Art did that. Shout out to him. His shit's fucking sick.
Yeah.
Compilation tape art.
You gotta keep something in the pocket. He already showed the zine, so you gotta keep something in the pocket.
If we don't tell people now, then it just means we're gonna have to make more posts on Instagram, which is a fucking hassle.
Exactly. We've got all the people that want to hear about it here, so let's just fucking tell them.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny because that's why people are always like, dude, why don't you promote the label more? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And I'm like, I'm busy making shit. I'm not the fucking marketing guy. It's just me and another guy.
I understand.
Doing shit, man. We got families. We got full-time jobs. We got fucking all kinds of stuff going on, and the label and the magazine. 2 magazines. So it's like, fuck, man. But
I understand, man.
I don't really care. It's kind of cool that
you wear so many hats, and then
I'm not complaining about
your life. It becomes your life. So like, you're like, fucking, I'm doing it.
Yeah, well, I'm not. I don't think either of us are guys that are on Facebook, and then people are like, you go on Instagram a lot. I'm like, not really. I'm like, I really wouldn't even have an Instagram probably if I didn't have the magazine and label. It's kind of, but I don't have any other than the big cartel to sell stuff. I don't.
Right.
We don't promote it any other way. We don't have like a Facebook or a this or that or like.
You use the media of the day to fucking promo the shit.
Now also, we don't even really. We're like bad at promoting our own shit. So people are like, dude, you could do so much more. And I'm like, we're already doing enough. It's enough.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Like, and then they don't understand the behind the scenes of the packaging and all the stuff that comes to do with it.
It's not even all that. I'm not a big fan of like the whole shilling stuff on social media. I mean, I get why people do it, and it's but I would rather scroll through social media and see maybe like art or whatever else I'm into, and releases too, because I want to know about releases. But there's just so many, like, sometimes people just go nuts with like they're putting out like a label. I can't even name a name, but they'll post 3 times a day for fucking 2 weeks about the same thing. And you're like, I fucking hate this, man. Like, that's just me. That's my opinion only. I mean, I'm nothing against anybody out there, but that's just not us, man.
Visibility is the game. So, like, basically, the bottom line is, you should be posting a lot. But the thing is, if you don't bring any kind of life into, like, you, the human, then people will trail away from you. I noticed that as far as like the business of like the record label shit.
Yeah,
you have to show some kind of fucking human element to it.
Yeah,
and it makes a big difference.
Like this, than like make fucking 300 posts on Instagram, So, but that's just me. I mean, other people deal with it differently or kind of use it differently. I don't have that much more extra time in the day that I really want to spend on it if I don't have to. So I mean, even lately, like, I think West got what did you get, like some free software to make like kind of video editing thing, and that's why
Canva. Yeah, that's why you've seen these couple of reels, which people are fucking seeing, which is sick. I guess reels have more reach than regular posts or whatever.
Video gets reach. So like you use the stupid fucking tools they gotta give us, and then we have to fucking
Real of this.
go out and put our fucking asses out a little to say like, oh, I put out shit, you know.
Yeah.
I understand what you mean though, that you don't want to fucking murder people with your fucking shit, but
I don't know. That's just not me. I'm not a shill.
I'm not that way either, and I feel I don't know. I'm a cross between murdering people and not. So like,
that's why I unfollowed you, Roy, because I'm just sick.
Yeah, I'm like a cross between
bullshit.
murdering and not murdering. You know, because I have to. How to do it.
There's a definite balance that if you like, you know, we work pretty hard at the stuff that we make, so we definitely want to get it out in front of people and have people buy it. You know, we're not looking to like make money because we don't make any money.
We're just use the money we make to go to the next zone.
Well, right. We're just looking to spread that stuff. Like, hey, here's the cool thing we made. Check out that and the cool band that is involved with it. Check this out. You know, other than that, it's, you know, I don't know. I just don't have the big push behind me. And I think I've never really been this way to sort of like I'm a bad self-promoter.
Is it because you're moving to the next thing?
Part of it is like that, but it's just that I don't know. I'm not a big fan. Like, I don't have a Facebook page personally or for the label. I mean, the only social media that I'm on is fucking Instagram, and it's because I have the label. I mean, I started Instagram when I was doing my art magazine, and that was kind of how I got it out there, and I would sell it. You know, like at the first couple issues, I didn't even have a big fucking cartel. I had an email, like, here, email me, and I'll tell me what you want, and I'll send you a copy or whatever. You know, it was like that, and so, you know, I've definitely advanced more, but I think that the people that usually say to me, you guys should be doing more to promote your stuff, are the people that go, because you're working so hard at making something so cool or so different or so handmade that you should really be promoting it more. And I take that and go, okay, yeah, you're probably right, but I don't really want to do it myself. Wes doesn't have time to do it, and I'm not hiring like a fucking PR guy. So
I got you.
But the great thing about like Instagram and social media is that it does put all of the people that are into your shit in one place. So like we do like the promotion that we do, you know, our ads, I try to make them as like to the point and as like pack as much information into them as possible without them turning into like a fucking, you know, book or whatever. But, you know, I do feel like we owe it to our bands to really try to push them as best as we can and as best as we're capable of. And luckily social media has given us that platform to kind of shove it down the throats of the people that have their mouths open waiting for the insertion.
You know, that's all said, Wes.
Thankfully, big ups to all you open mouth motherfuckers.
Yeah.
We need so many of you.
No, that's well said, because I really don't want to minimize what I said by thinking that we don't care about our bands or whatever like that. But we're not fucking Relapse or Season of Mist or whatever. We're not like, you know, paying for promo copies to get fucking reviewed on.
No, I know. I completely don't pay to play. So
yeah. I mean, I'm not saying everybody's doing that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. That's just not us. That's all.
No, everyone is doing that.
I mean, I tell the bands too. I'm like,
three other people.
You guys can promote this too. You know, it's not just us. So
right. I mean, we're the only ones doing the non-pay to play. Maybe us and like three other fucking people. That's it. Everyone else I see is paying to play.
Oh, I don't really, you know, not every one of our things sells out. Some stuff does, some stuff doesn't. I mean, we're doing small numbers of stuff, but we're happy with the way it's going. You know, It's like, I don't really want to, I really wouldn't want to have like something where a bigger band came to me and said, like, even if it was like something like Undergang or something and said, hey, we're doing this next record, will you do the cassette of it? We want you to do maybe like a, you know, some really special screen printed thing or whatever for it. Not necessarily a Coffin box, but something that was, you know, and they wanted to do 1,000 of them. I don't even know if I'd want to do 1,000 of them. You know what I mean? Like,
I understand.
Yeah, for sure they would probably sell or whatever, but I don't even know if I really want to do that much work, you know, for that.
I understand.
So, you know, that's
does that have to do with the amount of work, or does that have to do with the artistic creativity of the
all that stuff, but the amount
of work. A little bit of both.
That's you know, a lot of stuff, a lot of our
DIY.
Well, a lot of our releases have more than just one screen print on them. They're both sides, they're an insert, they're this, that. So some things have like 5 or 6 screen prints in them. You know what I mean? So like that thing has, I think, 8.
Right.
You know, so 8. You know, there's 2 pulls on every cover. And then, you know, there's another pull on the inside, and then there's another pull for the front and back cover right there, and then there's another pull on the all of that. Shout out to fucking Wesley Brown who did this artwork.
Shout out to Caustic Vomit.
He's the man.
Shout out to Caustic
But I mean,
Vomit.
that's the thing I was saying, Roy, is that like times what Wes just said by doing 1,000 copies, and all of a sudden you're screen printing for weeks. You're there's a lot, and it's like I have a small little setup. I'm not equipped to like do volume. I don't have drying racks. I mean, I can only do 200 pieces of something at a time. Right. So like even for like now where I'm screen printing the posters for the magazine, I'll do 400 of them probably or more. And I can only do so many at a time. I can only do like 200 at a time.
Because they got to dry. Because they got to dry, right?
Right. So it's like I couldn't, and I really don't want to scale up. I don't want to be like, oh well, I got to buy a press, or I got to buy this, or I got to, I don't want to outsource it. I want to keep doing it myself. So I'm happy at this like sort of like small level
creativity and a small good level.
Yeah, man, we're super happy with it. I mean. Sure, I'm glad people dig it. That's all I can ask.
I wanted to show the faces behind the work, so that's why we did this.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you were on once before, both of you guys, but like I thought that you guys kind of deserved your own episode, so that way we could talk about the releases.
About us more.
Yeah, and to just to show like, man, there's all these processes to do this, and
yeah, I mean, I don't expect people to like. Want to be completely knowledgeable and everything. I mean, it's cool to peek behind the scenes, but we sell our cassettes for $8, the same price or cheaper than the people that are buying them from the plants, all shrink wrapped and ready to go. Yeah. But we're doing all the work, so it's like we're not trying to make like limited editions or these like, oh, this is a swanky edition of 50 and it's going to be $27 for this cassette. No, it's $8, and we haven't raised our prices. We haven't. I mean, like the magazine is expensive. People are like, well, how do you sell your magazine for $23? And I'm like, well, it's 130, 40 pages. It comes with a cassette, comes with a screen print. I'm like, piece all that stuff separately, and then the quality of everything. And I'm like, that's how it's $23, and we don't make a nickel off that, man. Yeah. I mean, that's not our cost. But by the time we give all the contributor copies and all the band copies away and all that stuff and ship everything out, we're not making a dime. We're making enough to do the next issue, and it's expensive, man. I mean, every issue that we do of the magazine of Noxious Ruin is about $4,500 to $6,000.
Wow.
So it's a okay used car. We make that back. We don't lose a bunch of money, but I mean, it's not cheap to do, and that's not why I'm saying that. I'm just saying.
Would you consider ever for your label maybe to just scale up like an extra like 100 or 200 copies just so you made a profit? Because like no one said you can't make a little something.
Oh no, it's not. I don't think we're trying to be like the Puritans that are like, we can't possibly. It's just that we do this as a labor of love, I mean,
I see it.
It's dumb and it's kind of cliche.
It's written all over your products.
Yeah, but that's what it is. We're not trying to. As long as we can make enough money to keep doing more releases and more magazines.
Listen, your stuff is written all over your products, basically. Yeah. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, you printed, you hand printed the fucking thing with that jig and that other stuff. And then like you're promoting bands that are unusual and like a little more rare, in my opinion. So like it's and
by design.
Yeah, and then by design. So like, and then helping, not only having like a magazine, but also having the comp tape, like you said, which becomes a fucking soundtrack to the fucking magazine at times.
Yeah. It's kind of a package, I mean, that's exactly why, like I said, I started the label because I thought, well, I'm already doing this one thing, which is similar than doing releases, so I might as well just do some releases too. And I never started out in thinking like, oh, I'm going to do 20 releases a year. I was just like, I'll do these as I can find cool bands, and I have the motivation to do them. It might last 5 releases, it might last 500 releases. It's like I'm almost fucking 60, man, and I'm not going to be doing this forever. And I'm not saying like, oh, I'm so old, I can't screen print anymore. It's not that. It's just that it's a lot of fucking work, and I'm sure that there's going to be a point where I'm going to be like, man, I want to step back from this. I mean, this is why I got Wes as a partner. I mean, he was like, you know, you need help, you want to partner up, because I was doing all this shit by myself before for, you know, the first almost 3 years.
Right.
You know.
Do you get into a situation like I do where you like creatively like busted your fucking nut?
Do I get in a situation where what? Say it again.
Where you like creatively bust the fucking nut and then you're just like, fuck, man, I did that already.
No, because I'm always thinking of like the next thing and the next kind of cool thing. Even though a lot of our releases are real similar in the way that, you know, we're doing them on the Maltese. It's a black or white or whatever, you know, this cross-shaped thing. We're doing art. It's like, you know, that's why we do like the Coffin boxes. That's why we do like the Ruin box. That's why we do like the Finnish compilation. It's something different, you know, because that's kind of the stuff that motivates me. Not that the regular releases don't motivate me. It's just that it's a little freshness that's thrown in there, you know.
Yeah, so you're thinking about the next thing. I got you, man. I'm just wondering because, you know, like, you hit so many, like, it's in a weird way, like, the label, like, very fast, and the magazine, like, it hits, like, these fucking apex points, which are good, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, I could see at a point where you're just, like, kind of like, you know? Maybe I just know from a business side of things, you know, but I'm just looking in a little too deep.
Well, I mean, I work I work for a huge tech company, and that's the second largest design software company in the world.
Right.
And so I look at a computer all day long. I work from home. And I look at a computer all day long, and they pay me a shitload of money to not do very much. I've been there for a long time. I've been there for like 12 years. It's much more than that. It's like 14 years now. And so my day consists of maybe a couple hours worth of work, and the rest of the time doing designs and writing magazines and doing stuff for the label. And I spend a lot of time not doing physical stuff like screen printing and stuff, but also like design stuff, contacting bands, designing the next thing, you know, getting that stuff together. I mean, so I spend a good amount of time on it, you know.
Yeah, it shows, man.
It's I spend more time on my label than I do at my job.
Right.
If my boss is watching, I'm working all the time, dude. It's so busy I can't keep up.
I left my job because I was working on my label so much.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I don't want that. I don't want to think like I'm going to go out on my own and try to like make it work as making money off a label, because it's difficult. It's a hobby, you know. I mean, it's not.
I mean, like it's super difficult. Actually.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm just going to tell you the level of like how much I work on stuff, and I'm looking at this stuff all the time, you know. Besides,
no, it's cool.
So,
I mean, it's good.
You know, he does a lot of designs and a lot of stuff for the magazine, and you know, lasers and whatnot. So,
are you guys geographically really close to each other, or not? Or
no? I live outside of Detroit, and he lives in North Carolina.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
so cool.
I've only met West once in person at an autopsy show. I made him fly to Chicago. I said, this is going to be a Noxious Ruin business trip that we got to go on, and I'll pay for part of it for you, or however you want to work it out. But I'm like, you got to meet me in Chicago to see Autopsy. Yes. So that's what we did. At
Reggie's, right?
Indeed.
Oh, yeah.
Cardiac arrest.
Good place to meet, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's super cool, man. I mean, it's all about making just completely... do you live near the Ground Zero Salem guy?
So he's ordered from us a time or two. I think we're maybe about an hour and a half-ish apart from each other, but we don't actually know each other. I think he's a transplant to North Carolina. Cool dude, though.
Yeah, he was from Salem.
A couple of times.
He's a New Yorker, actually. I think he told me. He lived closer to me at some stage, and then he moved to Salem, and then he moved to North Carolina. So, yeah, he was like a semi-upstate New Yorker. That's what he mentioned to me. When you guys put out the different releases, some of the bands were very obscure to me, like this stuff.
Yeah, what's your point?
I just want to talk about it.
Look, Roy, you either like it or you don't.
I like it, so that's why I mean I want to know more. Like when it's written all in Japanese and everything, I'm getting like a little.
This band's extra fucking mysterious.
Yeah, it just like puts an extra fucking layer on it for me.
Really, all I want to say about that release is that it's guys that we know from Japan that have been in other pretty big bands that wanted to do something different but kind of anonymous.
Okay.
So it's a friend that I've had for a long time or a while, and I said, yeah, we'll put it out, and it's pretty anonymous, and that's as much. I mean,
Oh, that's cool.
Music do the talking, like Joe Perry said. So
no, that's what I was listening to the music. So
yeah, if you want to play,
interesting logo, etc.
I think Wes gave you a song from that too.
Cool.
Yeah, I can go re-up on a beer.
What about this release?
Spanish band. They're
COCC.
Yeah,
is that stand for something?
Bach. That's
Just
their
Bach.
name.
I like the print.
Ripping fucking crusty death doom.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
With the
Absolutely.
so let's see here. The I saw this photo online. This was inside your zine.
Yep. Yeah,
one
that's
of your contributors.
Contributed art.
Yeah, that's a friend of mine, Nico from France. He's been doing art for me for a long time, since back in the art magazine days. Yeah, he's been doing art for a long time, and that's just one of his submissions for one of the zines.
It's pretty sick, dude.
Yeah.
I thought it was brutal. The let's see here. We should play that track.
Yeah, go for it.
Let's see here.
It's a ripper. I'm gonna get another beer while this plays.
Yeah, I need to stand up. Pretty deep, man. What's the name
Heavy
of the band?
shit.
What's the name of the band?
Kusaru.
Saru?
Kusaru.
Deep, man.
I think it means like rock.
Heavy shit.
Japanese.
Sorry about that. Echo. What does it mean?
Rot in Japanese, I think.
Yeah,
Pretty
to
brutal,
putrefy.
Man. Heavy fucking stuffs. I like when is that like a it's an undisclosed like project band?
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. And it's kind of funny because a lot of Japanese stuff has like kind of like a little vibe to it, as far as like I don't know if it's a guitar sound or, but that stuff was a lot heavier and lower.
Yeah.
What's up, Joe Lewis?
Kind of goes back
remains.
All the like early slow finish stuff, and I mean I don't know. That's what I hear it in, like some of My Dying Bride, some some of that kind of stuff. It's fucking heavy as shit,
Coffins.
Man. We were lucky to put it.
Your Japanese is rusty as fuck.
Well, nailed it. It does mean rot.
Does it?
That's cool.
Yeah, it was rot or disintegrate or something like that.
To putrefy, maybe.
Yeah.
The some of the other releases and stuff we didn't talk too much about. The what do you call it? Excuse me.
That's my cat. on my synth.
This preservation of death thing.
Yeah, the zine that we do.
Yeah, was this like this is 5 issues deep, and then how much? Like...
Yeah, we're 5 deep at this point. So the first one, that was sort of the mixed bag that I did, and then the second one was where we started like doing it by like geographical regions. So I think the second one is South American. The third one is I've got them all right here. The third one is actually American.
Is this the Icelandian issue?
The fourth one is I guess Nordic. So like Norway, Sweden, all the Nordic countries, and then the fifth is the most recent one is the Eastern Bloc issue.
Right. I saw. Let me see if I have the graph for that one. Yeah, I don't know.
For what, the most recent one? Yeah,
It's
I've got it.
The most recent one, right?
Yeah, that's the most recent one. That's the Eastern Bloc issue.
And this had bands I saw had some of the pages in here. You had like Bloodbath from Serbia and stuff.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's sick, man. That album was really like a cult classic.
Yeah, we try to dig pretty deep on the stuff. It's shit that we really like that's kind of been ignored or forgotten or whatever, that we just try to dig really deep on that stuff. That's kind of what not really Noxious Ruin isn't necessarily about, even though, we do interviews with old bands. I mean, we had Everybody Massacre. I mean, the new issue's got Steve from Impetigo. It's got Impetigo. It's got Ison from Blood. There's a Blood interview in there. I mean, those guys have been around forever. So definitely. It's not that the Preservation of Death is more the idea of finding really super kick-ass fucking obscure shit that most people probably haven't heard. That just either was small released or just flew under the radar, or
right.
So
one and done demo shit,
like Eroded from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the first issue, yeah, that band fucking killer shit.
Yeah. The idea for the zine was Wes's idea. He was like, I'm doing the zine, man. And I'm like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. And you want to check it out? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. And I'm like, well, how are you going to do it? I'm like, you want me to help you with it? Or you want me to like help screen print it? Or what are you going to do? And he was like, oh, I don't know. I had this idea. I thought maybe we could put it out like through Noxious Ruin, or if you want to help me. And I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, this thing is cool as shit. So I like screen printed the cover and screen printed the tapes, the J card and the tapes. And he had written the whole first issue.
Nice.
And we decided to after that to kind of do it, team up on it and do it. So it just sort of fell under the whole Noxious Ruin stable of, releases and magazines.
Brutal, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Cryptokerberos.
Yeah.
This is the type of shit I fuck with. Also, Soricide.
Yeah.
There's not too much information on a band like Soricide because they're from Iceland.
We try to dig stuff up and try to find as much stuff as we can on them, and and it's kind of, that zine has a little bit more kind of review quality too. Not only are we saying, hey, there's this kick-ass band from this fucking weird like Lithuania or something, but and check out the demo, but we're also kind of slightly reviewing it, and we're putting one song from that band or a couple of songs from on the compilation. So every issue comes to the compilation that's 90 minutes.
Usually like 90, yeah.
Yeah. I think the longest one's been like 105 minutes or something like that, So, but that's kind
of around, like when you guys are doing that stuff, like then you're starting to drop stuff like this. This will be like the next thing. This will like maybe like, I don't know if time wise, but like with the rock cover and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was,
you guys are doing like simultaneous releases between the two different things at the same time.
Yeah, we kind of stagger the PODs and the Noxious Ruins. We usually try to drop like 2 of each per year, ideally.
Yeah. Okay. Reservation of Death is sort of our back burner thing.
Static Abyss on here, I see.
Yeah.
So at that stage, they hadn't really did a Morgue Breath on here, who you did a release with.
Who fucking rips so hard. Yeah, Putridarium. Who
this
you've
was
done
your
some
issue
stuff
number
for.
7?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, that was 7. Kusaru was on that compilation.
Yeah.
Curse of Flesh from South Carolina, shout out.
Leprophiliac, Impending Doom. Deathgrave, which is also the bass player. ETD is on here.
Yeah.
Greg Wilkinson stuff.
Sick dudes, man.
Yeah.
In Skullhog is on here. I saw those guys. And
they we did a big Maryland Death Fest shit. Retrospective in that issue. So as I was sort of doing that, I was like, hey, let's put a Skullhog song on here, and they were cool enough to throw us a song. It wasn't unreleased or anything, but doesn't matter because that band fucking rules.
Yeah, they fucking rule, dude. I saw them live at one of the second Maryland Death Fests. And that's like, when you're fucking working at a table or you're doing some bullshit and then you're just like, what the fuck is that? Like, you hear some music that you're like, damn, man, they're hitting those low fucking notes, dude,
Yeah.
So this would be the 8th issue, which
Volume 8, yep.
You sold out already?
Yeah, I think all of them are sold out. I think we have copies of 7.
There's some of 7 still kicking around.
Yeah.
Here in the
Deterioration, Festergore, Hacked Apart, and Festergore from New York. I remember those guys. Vacuous Depths, Worm Altar.
Seeping Protoplasm, Execrable, Deserology, who fucking rules.
Yeah.
Cave Grave, Asheville, North Carolina boys.
Nice. Very sick, dude. Sick releases, man. They're fucking definitely some fucking cult looking shit.
We like them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's, like, to show people new bands, you definitely are hitting the fucking nail,
Yeah.
I mean, we live this shit. So, you know.
We're not trying to like go out of our way to like put out unknown bands. It's just we find a lot of cool stuff that is unknown, so we really kind of get behind it. I think that's more of the, like we know bigger bands and stuff. I mean, it's like one of our very next releases is our first vinyl release. It's the Sequestrum and Snet 7-inch that we're doing. That one's also been a year in the making. So that's our first vinyl that we're doing. More to come on that. I mean, more to come. It's coming soon, but more vinyl to come after this. And that was always our intention is
stepping into the vinyl game.
Yeah, do some vinyl. Not a lot. I mean, I still want to do cassettes because I like the format and I like the way that we can do the art on them and stuff. It's kind of we got a little thing going, but just a few a year. A few things a year. So we'll see.
Cool,
we got
man.
A bunch of shit lined up for this year. So
those are sick bands.
Yeah.
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 And they need to be known in the U.S., so that's like important in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's like same with our on our big cartel. Most of the distro stuff that we carry is only foreign stuff that's not really readily available in America. People are always like, "Oh, you want to do trades?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't mind trading, but why do I want your thing that you're selling that's a state over from me?" It's not a competition thing. It's just that we really didn't want to be a distro, and it was sort of like, hey, people wanted to trade. We wanted to get our stuff other places. So it was like, hey, we'll take some of your releases, and we try to do that with like small labels in
small
Europe,
amounts of people,
and
because
stuff
if you
like
can't
that.
even sell off the stuff you have, like, why the fuck would you want to trade with somebody?
Yeah.
Because once you do X amount of mercy trading, you're just like, fuck this.
I saw mercy trading. I mean, even when like people ask me about it, I try to be pretty cool about it, like, you know, U.S. labels and stuff. And I'm like, well, you know, we have pretty decent wholesale rates. I mean, we're basically selling them to you at cost. Right. And I don't think a lot of labels kind of get it in a weird way, like they've never saw, you know,
they never told,
or they've never seen a magazine, so they're like, man, why is the wholesale price on fucking the magazine $17 I can't fucking sell that. It's like, yeah, we sell them for 23, and that's like our app. That's like losing money.
That's
cost.
Really not that much money.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like you get a magazine, a tape. It's like, I think a lot of people don't really realize that sometimes.
And a screen print.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. I mean, I don't care if we're selling our stuff or other people. I like to just try to get it other places where it's not easily more, you know, is easily available.
It makes sense, because you want to turn around the stuff you made, and you want people in people's hands, where that's the most important out of all. Not in some fucking distro even. Well, it's just like, let me get it from me to them and out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then more people get to see this. They're more into. Do you ever look at things like this? Is sometimes like with my record label, we put out a lot less product over 30 years. But like, do you ever look at your stuff to say, like, you know, this is what I listen to?
Well, if I was going to release what I listen to currently, it would be fucking obscure 70s hard rock bands. So, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love death metal and I love everything about it, but I can't listen to that all day, every day, all the time. So, but you know, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm into the stuff that we release. You know, it's not just a sort of flippant, like, oh, I don't know, this band would be cool and look at their art. We'll just put this out or whatever. It's like, you know, we kind of invest ourselves in the band. So we, you know, it's stuff that we listen to. We wouldn't put it out if we did.
You heavy fuck with it.
I don't know if that was the question you were
heavy fuck with it.
Yeah, that's the question. Like, you heavy fuck with it so much that you're just like, damn, I gotta fucking release this.
Well, I mean, a lot of it's so obscure. It's like we're obviously not releasing it to like move units or to sell copies. I mean, we hope that we do. I hope that everybody listens to it is like, God damn, this is a banger, and I want a fucking copy of it. And luckily, most people have gotten on board with a lot of our shit. There's very few things that have just been absolute duds. I mean, you know, so I mean, we do have to play it safe. I mean, there's some things we hear that we're like, fuck, I love that, but realistically, I don't know if I could make that work. But everything that we do, there's you know, the counterpoint of fuck around and find out. You know, that's what it is with our shit. It's like, you guys. It's like, yeah, it might be obscure shit, but I do think it's stuff that if people hear it, they're gonna fuck with it and they're gonna like it. And you know, I think that we sort of meet that right in the middle pretty well for the most part.
Oh, I love it, dude. Just looking from an outsider's point of view, like I'm a consumer, and at times, obviously, I have to be in a business, unfortunately. So, like, you know, like when I look at it from the consumer side, like, you guys really fucking nail it graphically and everything. So,
we're glad people dig it. You know, I mean, it's slowly and steadily grown, and I mean, now people kind of know of us, and they're more willing to take a chance on unknown shit that we release, because they're like, oh, well, the track record's pretty good. You know, I bought these couple things last time that I didn't know, and they were really fucking cool. So, you know, it's like, we'll take a chance on that. You know, that's a lot of that happens too, where when you're releasing like super unknown bands, you know, there's so much product out there that everybody's selling, labels and whatever else. And it's hard for people to take a chance on everything. You know, they're like, well, I know this Undergang record.
Even for a listen.
Right. Yeah. You know, and
there's just so much shit.
I don't want to force shit down people's throats either, but it's at the same time, it's like, we believe in it. And, you know, we're also
pressing squares.
We're also on this very side, you know, Wes and I have sort of the same musical taste in that, we like shit that's dirty and fucking raw and, you know, kind of slightly inept. I mean, that's why we do Preservation of Death. You know, I mean, Preservation of Death is like all these like bands from 1987 to 1990. We got a cap at 93. Nothing after that, but it's all stuff that's like really good, but it might be a fucking basement recording, it might be a garage recording, it might be a band that's an app, but it's fucking smokes, man. And that's the thing is like we've like Wes was saying earlier, we've had some like bands that are kind of maybe on the more highly produced side or the more sort of average sort of death metal, like, oh, they just sound like 3 or 4 other bands exactly, and that we've just sort of passed on because it's like I don't like that, and it's not something I believe in, so I don't really want to release it. You know?
That's what I mean.
Probably,
like you believe in the fucking
releases.
Right.
We could probably.
It's like fuck.
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't
Can
know.
we talk about the what do you call it a little bit? Because this was interesting to me. The murder kit.
Oh yeah.
Because like you screen printed, you had those like little knives, and then you made like little tape rolls or something you were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
with a drill.
What was it? Yeah, like
completely handmade too.
The tie. You got gloves.
Yep.
What's the silver thing?
A garrote.
Okay.
The thing with the 2 little wood handles on it.
No, I see that. What's that silver thing in the middle?
Oh, that's
that's the roll of duct tape.
Yeah,
that's the duct tape.
Mini roll of duct tape.
So yeah, I mean, what made you guys
pretty fucking Mike's crazy ass threatened to kill Brian if he didn't release it.
Well,
right.
Well, for one thing is that I hope that people take that and go fucking murder somebody to start off with. You know, I'm not opposed to like mailing out weapons to people. You know, I did it with my old magazines too. I like, you know, had a bunch of different, like I made a plastic shank. I had fucking razor blades and all kinds of stuff. But no, we just had the idea, you know, like Ruin's one of those bands that we've kind of been friends with for a while, and you know, they have some pretty cool stuff, and you know, they're really on a their thematic, you know,
they fit that box.
Serial killers and things like that. So we talked a lot, like, you know, a year or 2 ago, and we were like, yeah, you know, Mike was like, we should do a release, and I'm like, dude, I can come up with something really fucking cool. So we just started spitballing, and I'm like, yeah, I really want to do like a box that's a murder kit, you know. And he's like, oh yeah, we could write something around that, you know. So we kind of were spitballing names, and I think either him and I both kind of came up with the name of the box, you know, like you know, we kind of were going, oh, what about this? What about, you know, and then I was like, yeah, just let me do all the shit for this and I'll make something really fucking cool. I had all these ideas in my head about like, you know, putting a knife in there. It was like a murder kit, you know, it's like, it's got gloves, it's got a zip tie, it's got
it's like garage. Richard Speck's fucking party fucking pack.
Right. I mean, you could technically go out and kill somebody. It's not a fucking toy, you know, it's real shit. And so when I started showing them stuff for that and the art behind it, they were just fucking freaked out, man. I mean, they were like, "Oh my god, this is the coolest thing ever," you know. So yeah, we just rolled with it.
I love it, dude.
Yeah,
it's a cool little, just, you know.
Yeah.
The screen printed Ruin knife that's like a foldy little thing.
Yeah, it's actually
kind of pop out. That thing is amazing.
Dude. Knife, and it's laser etched. West laser etched each one of those.
Those are amazing, dude.
Yeah.
You know, like the release itself is amazing too, but like
the Ruin songs rip on that so hard.
Great.
Yeah, the fucking
they
box
basically wrote that around. They didn't have a bunch of songs
around a box set.
Yeah, they wrote that around that release. You know, they were like, okay, we got a concept. Now we're gonna write like a, you know, an EP around it, and then, you know, you guys will do the visuals and all the screen printing and everything. So that's kind of, you know, it was a really like, you know, complete collaborative effort on that.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
That idea tanked for like 2 or 3 years before that even fucking came out. Like, Brian approached me about laser engraving some of that stuff before I was even a part of the label.
Yeah.
So that had been in the tank for a minute.
And then how do you so you fucking with like other, you know, like CNC or some kind of fucking, you know,
I mean, I CNC stuff at work with my job, but you know, a lot of the files that I use to engrave this are the same type of files that you might use on like a CNC, but it's so much easier with a laser engraver. And
cool.
Lasers are fucking sick, so
shit is different. Shit is different nowadays, man. You know.
Listen, one other label out there's got lasers, huh? I ask you that. We got lasers, motherfucker.
What about you guys, the people, man? What are you guys doing? Like,
we got lasers too. I got
I
a
know
laser.
besides your lasers, are you guys into like horror movies? Are you into like reading books?
Lasers, just lasers.
Just
Just
lasers?
lasers. Yeah.
Um,
No, I mean we're both really into like skateboarding and shit. Like
Cool.
that's a big one, and I think that's you talked about earlier, and I didn't really mention it. I didn't think about it at the time, but you were talking about like art influences. I mean, you know, skate culture and shit. I mean, the decks. You know, you look at the decks behind Brian. I mean, any of the shit that you see in the pages of Noxious Ruin would be just sick as fuck on a skate deck. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think that plays a big part of what we do. It's a big influence for sure.
That's cool.
yeah.
Skate culture. I mean, when I first listened to some of like thrash crossover, it was in skate. You know, everyone was fucking skating. It was fucking SOD and fucking DRI and you know, fucking COC.
Some of my favorite bands are those bands, you know, The Accused, Raw Power, you know, all those like early sort of like, you know, kind of not even really crossover, but like really fast punk or really fast metal. And then when it started to be the crossover thing, which I think is a fucking dumb name, but you know, a lot of those bands, and that's stuff that I still listen to and I'm still fucking super fucking stoked about, you know, from back then. I don't really hear too much new stuff if there is, you know, new crossover out there, but yeah, the old stuff is still fucking as solid as it was, you know, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. So
cool. Yeah, fucking Accused. I was on a whole Accused binge for like the last 3 weeks, maybe.
oh dude, yeah, I do on the first Accused, well, the first EP and their first Martha Splatterhead in the magazine. You know, but yeah, they're one of my favorite bands. I mean,
I started to roll in on all the like. I'm like, well, I don't have that on record, so like, you know, I get into those little zones where I'm like, I think I would like to have this on a record because it's something that like meant something to me growing up.
Yeah, fuck yeah, man. Yeah, all that real early stuff like that, like even the punk stuff like Septic Death, that was Pushead's band, and like a lot, like Wes mentioned earlier, like a lot of Japanese bands and stuff like that. You know, that all came from that kind of skate culture. For me, at least, that's where I learned a lot about
people
it.
Listen to Jism and Outdo and stuff in the skate culture.
Yeah, Gizm and Uto, like, yeah, I mean, those, like, honestly, like, I don't know how much crossover, I mean, there should be more, but I don't know how much there is these days between, like, fucking death metal and skate culture, fucking,
you know, in the chat was loving your shirt.
Check out fucking Mortuary Skates if you haven't. Fucking Jerry Gurney did a interview with us in the last issue, but I mean, it's one of those things, it's like skating's in your face, fucking like anti everything fucking activity, and you know, so
it was illegal in New Jersey.
Metal.
It was illegal in New Jersey when I was younger, and the cops would they would roll over their boards.
Yeah, like none of the shit that we do is for well-adjusted people. I'll put it that way. Like we're not fucking. I mean, yeah, like you talk about what we do. Like, I mean, I'm a dad, and like that's most of what I do outside of you know, the label and death metal and shit. But you know, it's like what we do to an extent is still like fucking anti, like you know, just fuck the status quo and
you're doing different stuff.
Fuck anything.
All your fucking releases
whatever.
are pretty
fuck
sick.
Everybody. Fuck.
Is your like record you're gonna put out gonna come out with like a fold out fucking human or something?
It's gonna be literally skin off my ass.
We actually found a frozen cadaver that we were able to take slices off of. So each 7-inch comes with a slice of frozen cadaver.
Cool. Comes with a special.
It's gonna be real.
Anti-traditional. Yeah, fuck the system.
For death metal.
You can't have me. I don't need society. So what else? Did we not cover anything you guys want to talk about?
Nah.
I think we covered the new releases. The fucking, you know, please be on the lookout for the Barren and Vomit Spell box split. Please be on the lookout for the Anatomia and Condorivus split. There's some more shit coming out later in the year. If you're not hip to Trauma Block, if you're not hip to Cystic Nourishment, get fucking hip to it. If you're not hip to Brundlefly, fucking get hip to it. If you
I was
like
just gonna
fucking
ask about
vomit
that.
breath, I know that Sam is probably watching. He's a big fucking DMP guy, but we fucking love vomit breath. So anything that he does is gonna be fucking gold and fucking raw,
Yeah,
and
so
that's what we love. So
good, man.
Yeah, he's in Brundlefly too. That's the same guy.
That's
that's his new shit. Yeah.
Right. We played that on here. He sent me the CD actually.
yeah. He already put out.
Oh, that's the living putrefaction shit. That's Sam and that's Isaac from Morgue Breath and Sulfuric Cautery and all of those he does Blast Addict.
Blast
So
ass
that's
bands from
those
Cali.
two, and then Brundlefly is Sam doing everything. So fucking shout out Sam.
His
Like
sound
me,
was
he's from a
tight.
fucking small town in the fucking South. And there's not enough of us crazy fucking hillbilly death metal motherfuckers. So we're fucking flying that freak flag real fucking high.
Yeah,
Brian, let me ask you: do you get out there? Do you go to shows? Do you associate with shows? And
Absolutely.
metal? No, I was
Absolutely.
asking Brian. Both
Yeah,
you guys.
like
You do?
anymore. I got a cell phone. I don't need to go out of my house.
It's just West.
Dude, so my
You're more
new
of a
band
show
last
guy?
week or 2 weeks ago, my new band just played with fucking Diabolic Oath and fuck, I've been drinking so I can't remember the name of the other band, but fucking Diabolic Oath was fucking sick. That's one of the dudes from Skeletal Remains, and you should really fucking check it out. And you know, I've drank enough that I'll fucking plug my new band. It's called Skin You Alive. If you like fucking internal bleeding or pyrexia or fucking the dumbest fucking most ignorant parts of suffocation or dying fetus,
Right, okay.
then you'll fucking
I do
dig
like
the
shit like
we
that.
do. So it's like half fucking. It's like if you know you take the doomy parts of incantation and mix it with the dumbest parts of suffocation, dying fetus. Because I'm not that great of a fucking guitar player. Let's be real.
Oh, so it's
But
I like
goddamn
when
it,
we
I'll ride a
call this
riff into the
dumb
ground.
parts because, like, I was thinking that too. Like, there was a band I was listening to, and I'm friends with this band, Dripping from Jersey. Like, I helped, I
fucking
helped
love
them
that
connect
band.
or whatever. And then, like, whatever. Like, I had helped them connect. Anyway, there was this other band, and they had these like riffs and and I was like, yo, man, this shit is so fucking like you said, dumb. They dumbed it down so hard. Fucking.
But the thing about
The
Dripping,
slamming
that band,
part.
like they can play whatever. Like they can play a fucking King Crimson song, but they
Right.
choose to take those fucking crazy time signatures and just play the most ignorant fucking riffs in the weirdest fucking time signatures that they can. And like everybody's like, oh, that's so fucking dumb. It's like, well, I'd like to fucking see you do it. And most of them fucking can't. So, you
Right.
know, shout
Yeah.
out Dripping.
Well, yeah, definitely, dude. Shout out to Seb. Seb won.
Anybody got any questions?
Yeah, let's get to the questionnaire
Ask us some
here.
shit.
Because you guys, if you guys are fans of Noxious Ruin, bring on your questions. Because I'm sure somebody has some kind of question about the products here. And definitely, buy the new stuff.
Please.
And then the Finnish stuff is sold out. Defuncto
It is.
available.
But there's be on the
I saw
lookout
this
for more.
Encirclement.
Yeah, straight up fucking war metal type shit. Sick
You
stuff.
put out a Hot Graves thing, I saw.
Yep.
That's sick.
No, we did some Warflurch stuff, but not Hot Graves. That's all gurgling gore.
Okay.
Yep.
What kind of beer are you drinking?
I'm drinking a Imperial. That's what I've been on. But I started out with some really fucking metal ass looking Burial Brewing from Asheville beer. Yeah, somebody asked about what tapes. Let's do a fucking blind pull here. You want to do a blind pull?
Yeah, sure. We did this before.
Oh, some fucking Voivod.
Fuck
Oh,
yeah.
right.
shit.
Good
That's
one.
a fucking
Let's-
banging album, dude.
Let's
I love
do
that
something
stuff.
else. And I'm just fucking pulling here. Fuck, I don't even know what this is, to be honest.
It feels like we don't do one of these shows without some kind of demo sector in it.
Some fucking okay, Todeschloss. This is some black metal stuff.
Huh.
And I'll do one more. I'll reach up fucking higher. One last blind pull. Oh, Libidinous Acts You like fucking
The
crazy,
Beatinous
like Demon
Axe?
Sea meets fucking Blasphemy.
Yeah.
Oh, pretty bugged out.
Crazy West Coast.
Are you guys
Black
taking
Death
notes
shit.
here? There are some questions here. When is next POD coming out? Was it mentioned?
Yeah.
Man.
Your mother.
We just got through the. I mean, like Brian said, we literally just got the test. The I don't know, whatever the
Yeah, the proof. The
proof copy back from Noxious Ruin. So after that, we'll start putting some stock into POD.
Yeah,
Cool, my boy likes that.
Yeah.
He had sent me the photos of this. I heard that Illustrator from Werflurch Project was difficult to deal with. Can you elaborate on that? That sounded like a joke.
Fuck that guy, man.
I heard he was a dick, to be
I
honest.
heard y'all put out Hot
or
Graves,
something like that.
Plague
Yeah, he's like
mixtape
he's one of those
release.
like fucking hippie Northwest guys, man. Fuck that dude.
Yeah,
Are
I know he
they
did
in
some.
colon?
I know he toured around
wanna
with
know if you're
Werflurch
in
and
a
Mall a
colon?
little bit, but whatever. Aside from that,
Stefan Goldberg is saying
Good dude,
sick
back
shit,
card.
man. So he likes the stuff. We still have one more song to play too.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Yeah,
you
field a few questions if there's some.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any questions about some of the releases, past and present, art? Noxious Ruin definitely fucking, like, as far as like, I'm glad we did this episode because that way you guys, I want to see, like, people might not see the faces beside the, they're making these sick fucking releases. There's not too many people out there making fucking Coffins and Undergang stuff and like, weird Japanese stuff.
you're a
Skull fucked by
pervert.
ghouls.
Check that shit out.
This is
Skull
one
fuck.
of my old art magazines. Anybody recognize the art from it? Or the art inspiration from it?
It looks like Regurgitation's cover from Ohio.
Nope.
Yeah.
If you wanted art inspiration.
It was done by Putrid Matt.
Okay.
No, it's Autopsy. It's from fuck, why can't I think of it? Their third record. On the inside,
Oh, the Axe of the Unspeakable.
yeah, actually unspeakable. Yeah, stuff
The
from
inside, the inside drawing collage
Yeah.
thing.
It's a takeoff of it. So
That was a crazy art. That was a crazy artwork,
Yeah.
dude.
well, here's I'll show you another more just because you asked to see some of the Skull Fuck by Ghouls, but these are some of the art magazines that I did before. So
What's the content like in these things?
it's
Just all art?
all art. There's no writing. I mean,
Uh-huh.
hard to see, but
Think
No,
of
it's
all
not-
the
it's not
art
that
from
hard to
Noxious
see.
Ruin compiled into one magazine
Yeah, it's
without
not
all the
that
death
hard to
metal
see,
shit.
actually. That was cool.
I mean, here's another copy of it.
Very fucking slick printing, man.
Yeah, here's another crazy Putrid Matt cover.
You obviously don't print these things at your house.
No, the magazines. These magazines don't get printed. Like we use a printing company to do these because there's no way. I mean, that's a small press place kind of a thing.
Is there a lot of printing places out by you, or do you outsource? Or
I have
whatever?
I have a local printer that does all of our small stuff, like Preservation of Death and some of our inserts for our releases and just other small stuff. And then for Noxious Ruin, the big mag, I have it done in.
Take notes, people, in the chat. Like, this is like, if you want to even do something just for your fucking own band and put out 50 fucking cassettes, these guys are a good example, basically, because you know, even though you guys are putting out multiple releases, when you put out a limited release with just like some inserts and some, put some fucking effort into it, basically. You know
Anybody
what I mean?
can do the shit that we're doing. Like
Exactly.
no shit. No
Exactly.
shit.
I don't fault other labels for whatever. I mean, I look at it like this. Anybody can like get on their computer and point and click and put some art on something and point and click and send a tape off and it comes and it's all shiny and it's shrink wrapped and everything. I mean, people do that. That's cool. I mean, that's
Right.
valid too. We just do something different. That's all.
Yeah.
There's no knock against those people. It's just we go way
You just do
stuff.
something different, man.
Yeah.
That's why we wanted to have you on too, because like I admire your work. You know, both of you guys.
Thank you.
So, like,
Thank
you
you.
know, Brian, like I mean, if you were screen printing and stuff, like, I'm a screen printer too. So, like, it's cool, like, to
You
talk
know the
about,
drill.
you know. Yeah, I know. I don't actually, I don't know the drill. I know the drill of printing T-shirts. So, to learn and see someone using air-based inks and printing boxes and stuff, I don't know the drill at all of that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
but-
I mean, I think to me, it's a learning thing. And then the thing is, like, for me, like, it's even a bigger fucking treat because it's like, all right, now I have that fucking box. So I can bust out a fucking tape and listen to it and enjoy the fucking, you know, like, beyond the fucking just checking out the print. And, like, I don't know, it's just when you collect shit or you like music and you like collecting, because there's people like collect fucking toys and posters and all kinds of shit, you know what I mean?
A lot of I've collected a lot of shit over you know, the years. I wouldn't consider myself a collector in that way, but
Right.
a lot of shit that I like. I mean, I got a ton of old skateboards. I have everything from fucking, you know, that to Shrunken Heads to fucking. I have a huge vintage Switchblade collection. I mean, I collect old synthesizers. You know, like Russian synthesizers and stuff like that.
Oh shit.
I don't know, art. I got so much I got enough art to like do an art show in my house and completely cover every one of my walls like once a day every week. You know, I mean, stuff that I bought from artists or whatever that I haven't even like hung up that I have. You know, it's just
Wow.
I can't even buy art anymore because I'm like, fuck, I got stuff from 10 years ago that I haven't. You know, so yeah. And that also just comes with having like an art magazine and a fucking.
Yeah. Do you find it difficult with the storage of the stuff?
No, I mean, I got a pretty decent sized house that I have you know, I don't have any collections that like, you know, make me get like a storage thing or anything like that.
No, I don't mean like that. I mean like me around the house. Like I have a collection of flyers and this and that, and I find that like I was like, man, I ain't taking care of this shit at all, dude. That's just sitting there in a huge box, like unfucking touched.
I have a lot of boxes of stuff, man. I mean, I have a lot of boxes of stuff, and you know, people like my kids will say, my kids are grown. And they're 18 and 21, but they'll be like, "Why do you even have all this stuff? You haven't looked at it in years." It's like,
right.
I'm like, "Cause I have it. It's there. I know where it's at. It's right there in those boxes." You know, my wife.
That's West's future too.
My wife is 20 years younger than me, and I always say to her, I'm like, when I die, you get this whole kingdom. And she's like, fuck, man. I mean, my wife's an artist. She's super cool, and
right.
she collects shit too. But I was just like, you know, I'm like, don't give any of this stuff away unless I tell you to. Sell it all. You'll get a fucking shitload of money for it, you know?
I had to say that too.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Hell yeah. What synth does Brian have in the background?
Oh,
Does he have any sampler modules? Here we go.
This right here is a Russian. I can't even do it here. It's a Russian polybox. It's from about 1980. I never made it out of Russia until like the 2000s. But
Whoa.
I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's super heavy.
Lightly.
You had to have it converted to 110 just to use it
What
in
about
this
that one
fucking
above
country.
it? What about that one above it?
Yeah, this is an old ARP Odyssey right here. It's another classic synth from it's Japanese. It's not
on the left there. Yeah, what's that?
Yeah, that's an old Korg. That's, you know, that was from the 80s too. I mean, I'll just show you some of my.
Okay, you got
like this right here is this small. This is an old Russian toy that they gave to kids in Russian schools, but it sounds fucking killer. You know, pedals, noise boxes. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a hobby. I make music with this stuff. It's not necessarily noise, but it's, I don't know, I would say it's more like punk synthesizer stuff.
No, it's cool, man.
Yeah, so, but
it's awesome, dude. I can hear that. Someone said they could feel it, and they don't hear it. They feel it. Me too, man.
Oh yeah, man.
That's when you know.
Yeah.
That's what Brian should dress up like Josh Silver for Halloween with all those keyboards.
Yeah, some of my old synthesizers are fucking bone rattling, man. That's what I like about them. And you know, I do a lot of I have a lot of like really weird kind of noisy electronic stuff, and you know, bit crush pedals and things like that that make everything sound really fucking nuts. So
cool.
You know,
yeah, I'm a fan of. I have an ASR 10.
mm-hmm.
So I have an MPC 1 is like my new fucking thing, you know. Just been playing with that thing, you know. So it's interesting to have. Awesome. Thank you for showing your gear and those amps, synth and Korg synths rule, especially the Korg A and E or something like that.
Oh, and yeah, I can't even see it. It's so small on my phone.
Anyone else have any questions for these guys?
What's that?
No, I was asking if anyone else has any questions for these guys. Do you want to talk about any of the releases or anything?
Yeah, I think we've touched on most.
I think we touched pretty much everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just be on the lookout for the new release. We're gonna play a song and be out of here. I'll let these guys go. Appreciate you know, coming on and everything and talking with me.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
I know I ask a lot of like off-base questions that might be business related, but like those are just like me talking out loud, and I feel in a weird way like.
No, we appreciate it.
Yeah, like you put effort into your fucking releases, dude.
Well,
like it's incredible cool. Effort.
Well, you know, I mean, I'm always willing. That's the thing with us too. Is like anytime anybody asks, like I've helped a number of other zines when they, you know, have questions, and I'm like, yeah, man, I'll answer any question. Like we don't have any secrets. There's no secrets.
Exactly.
You.
There is no secrets anymore.
Yeah, I'll tell people where we get stuff printed. I'll try to help them. I'll be like,
yeah, hey, if anything, like there's a network of people to help each other, which is rare because there can be secrets. But you're like, I could fucking go on AliExpress and order fucking 12 by 11 boxes also for fucking whatever many units. So like, you know, you're not pulling the wool over my eye. I just want to talk to you as another fucking record label. Basically, that's it, dude. You know. Not you, I'm just saying in general, like my skew on fucking business and record label bullshit.
No, totally.
In a way, it annoys me because it's like I'm here for the fucking music and not for the business part.
I know. That's what everybody should be here for.
I know, so it's fucking confusing, you know?
It's so weird to say business. It's a business.
I know. That's what I mean, though, but like it's like confusing to me, man. It fucking confuses the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
You have to, you know, but I don't know if that's just because it's like a fucking, the government makes me call it that. It's a hobby, though, like in a way, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So one
and
other
a lifestyle, too. And I have to say a lifestyle, because it's not just a fucking hobby, dude. Like, I'm doing this shit fucking day to night, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, you know, when I wake up in the morning, you think that I go and fucking, like... I don't even, you know, like immediately I go to fucking doing necroharmonic shit day and night, you know?
Yeah.
And when I'm not, I do death metal podcast shit. And when I'm not, I do fucking graphics. And when I'm not, I'm t-shirt printing. So I'm like you know, try to be completely self-sufficient.
For sure, man.
You know?
If you're into it and that's what you want to do.
I'm into it, yeah.
Yeah, make it happen. I mean, you know, most people are just fans or are in bands and they don't want to deal with all the label and all that stuff or whatever. And it's like, that's cool too, man. I mean, it takes all kinds. You know, we need, like I said, we need fans, we need bands. We need
everything. We need label. Yeah. We don't need as many labels. You're right, but we do need fans. It would be cool if there was more fans.
Yeah.
You know, and less musicians too.
But I mean, we're fans too. Projects. I mean, I'm constantly ordering from other labels and other distros, and I mean. You see here, I mean, like we order. I mean, we don't just like allocate our money to our own releases. I mean, we fucking
we're fans
too. Shit. Right. Less side projects, bands. Sorry. Just be one fucking band, dude. Killer episode tonight. Pleasure to Brian and Wes. Such a pleasure, guys. So they definitely appreciate it. If you guys have anything else to say or say to Noxious Ruin, this was a good interview. We got a song to go out with, but I wanted to thank you, both of you guys, for talking to me and just
thanks for having
coming
us,
from your fucking layers. And you know, I mean, it's like for me, this is just an extension of every fucking thing else we do, basically, dude.
Absolutely.
You know? So I mean,
we're more than willing to want to talk to anybody that wants to talk to us or whatever. I mean, usually like we're so busy fucking doing stuff that we don't look up. But yeah, when people go, hey, you want to do this?
I get like that too. And there's people that ask me to contribute to their magazines and all kinds of shit, and I just open it and just forget about it because I'm so focused on what I'm doing a lot of times. It's hard for me to focus on other people, you know.
Yeah.
So it's
we got
a challenging business. Business.
We got the Barren and Vomit Spell split. We got the Anatomia and Candorivus split coming out. We got the Snat and Sequestrum split.
Oh, yes, 7-inch.
Yeah, so we got a bunch of stuff coming. You know, we got a lot of cool stuff going on this year.
They still have a few releases available, so definitely check out the website too.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, I saw that Infected.
Yeah. The Snet and Sequestrum split, it is a split release with Extremely Rotten, but we do have a version that Extremely Rotten doesn't have. So if you're a collector, you should buy copies from each of us because they're both going to be fucking sick. And of course, both bands on the split are sick.
Yeah, we're doing special screen printed like over sleeves for them. They already have like a standard sleeve, but we're doing some really cool over sleeves for them, you know, and they'll be kind of limited, but they're doing.
I just made shirts for those guys. I love it.
They're doing all their
Sequestrum rules,
Euro and World, and we're doing all the North America, you know, Canada, Mexico, US, and stuff. So we just split the release.
Right. Yeah, I got some similar shit going on with them too, with Necroharmonic actually. So you can see. Even stuff that I've had in the fucking chamber like for years that I'm just like, you know what? Like, you want to make some of these too? Like, let's fucking bring this back the fuck out, dude. Like,
that's right.
I didn't finish the fucking journey on this, and now it's years later.
So let me shout out one of your fucking releases. The Ancient Death shit is fucking awesome. Anybody that is into fucking death metal at all should be real fucking hip to Ancient Death right now. That band is fucking so sick.
Yeah, they're tight, man. I mean, and I got to, like, before I signed them, in a way, I went to go see them live, too. Because, like, that's the fucking taste, you know? Just to see the fucking band, like, and what's this band like live, basically? You know, or what are they like people? You know? Like, I want to fucking hang, dude, you know? And then after that, I was like, all right, I'm fucking good to go, man, you know? So they were cool, and my friend Derek is in there anyway now, he wasn't at the time, but now he's back in, and he was in Handwrought, so he's a homie.
Yeah.
So,
dude, you know. It's funny. Derek was on that end of year episode that we did with like labels and stuff, and was talking. And at the time, I was already in talks with Ancient Death to put a track on the Noxious Ruin compilation. And didn't realize at the time that Derek was in that band. I was already a fucking Handwrought fan or whatever, but you know, just like talking to him and then like finding out that he was in Ancient Death just made me like the band even fucking more. And the song that is on the compilation that I'm sure is going to be on a future release that you do with them is just next level fucking absolute.
It's sick as fuck.
Just like Shred City fucking just.
The band is sick as fuck. And there's
master class on death metal.
Yeah, they got played on here basically. And like 20 seconds into them playing, I'm like, I definitely have to talk to this band about putting their fucking release out now, dude.
Yeah, right.
So it took 20 seconds, man. And then the next day, Oscar from Rotter Records hit me up. He goes, yo, I got something to say. I'm like, I already know what the fuck you're going to say, dude. You know? And he was on the same exact page as me, dude. So I'm sure you guys have those magic moments too. And I appreciate, you know, that you came on Death Metal Podcast to share the fucking shit about the fucking label, which is fucking sick, dude.
Anytime,
so
man.
We're going to go out with a song. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. This is a Barren track. Thank Terrorizer playing through Entombed's gear. Fucking best breakdown of fucking.